We're not talking about the best of them. We're just talking about the rest of them.
Not the worst parts, but the best parts. And the best parts we have. The best of the rest.
Hello, and he's like a turd that won't flush. Welcome to Best of the Rest, the show where we take a second look at movies that were poorly received upon release and challenge ourselves to only talk about the things we like and what the movie does well. It's Famous Flops Month, and this week we are talking the 1995 film Waterworld. My name is Chris Logan, and I am joined, as always, by my Drifter co-host, Andrew Williams. You ready to talk some Waterworld, Andrew?
I am indeed. And I'm not a drifter anymore. I have a home. It's ridiculous. I'm past my drifter phase. Now I go by the Mariner.
Sure, why not? Makes sense. Andrew, what is your history with this film, Waterworld? Is it a movie you have seen before or seen very often?
No.
No?
No.
Same. I've never watched this before in my life until
I've
this
seen.
week.
I know I've seen pieces of this because, like, watching it back, there was stuff I remember. Like, honest, I guess I've seen the beginning before. Because, like, I vividly remember his water purification machine that he uses.
It's the first thing you see in the movie.
The first thing you see in this movie is Kevin Costner taking a piss, and
and then drinking his own piss.
And then drinking.
The first thing you see is Kevin
filters
Costner drinking his own piss.
It's like Bear Grylls has got nothing on this guy. So I've seen clips. I know I've seen like pieces of it. But I've never really gone back and watched it. If I watched the full thing in the past, I couldn't have told you when. And so I was interested to kind of go back and check this out. This is kind of one of the, like I said, we're in Famous Flops month, and this is one of the most famous, especially one of the older ones. You get a lot more. There's a lot more recent entries on that list after studios with questionable decisions, but this is one of those kind of long-standing examples. So I was interested to go back and kind of see what everything was about. I didn't even know Dennis Hopper was in this.
I'm not sure I knew that either. I mean, this movie's entire legacy is the fact that it flopped. And it really does. It's not even like the biggest bomb. I was kind of surprised looking at the numbers. Like, it loses money at the box office, don't get me wrong, but it's not as huge of a flop as you'd expect. It's mainly because the budget was notoriously bloated and was the most expensive movie ever made at the time, had a troubled production, which was like its own news cycle at the time. But all I knew about this movie my whole life is like that it's a flop. It bombed.
A belly flop, if you will.
No one liked it. Very good, Andrew. And it kind of derails Kevin Costner's career for a long time, which we'll talk about when we get the cast. And other than that, I also know Jim Carrey references it in Cable Guy. He says, "There's such thing as dry land. I've seen it." So I was waiting for that line this entire movie. I don't know if they ever say that exactly, but that was my almost entire frame of reference for this film. Was like, oh yeah, Jim Carrey references it in Cable Guy, which must have been like the next year. Like, I think Cable Guy is maybe 96, so it was like a hot movie at the time, I guess. At least recent in people's memory, but yeah, I've seen it. I knew nothing about it going in other than like it's obviously the planet's all water. And there was some bonkers stuff in here that I was not ready for. And I was like, why has no one ever talked about this? Well, we're going to talk about it today. And after our discussion, we will be joined by dear friend of the show coming back to help us celebrate this milestone episode 150. The sweetheart of podcasting himself, Bob Yule, is going to be here, ladies and gentlemen, hosting a movie trivia game show. We never know exactly what this guy's going to bring. But Andrew and myself will be going head to head at the end of this episode. You can, of course, play along. It's always a blast. Love anytime Bob stops by the studio.
Yeah, Bob is fantastic. Always happy to have him on the show. Always happy to have him join us, and in this case, helping us celebrate our 150th episode. I mean, who would have thought, Chris?
It's kind of crazy. I don't know. Does it feel like it's been that long, Andrew? 150 weeks, essentially.
Chris, we've been podcasting for 10 years, haven't we?
Is that what it feels like? I don't know. It did start in like lockdown COVID era, I guess. So like I don't know. You could tell me it's been 2 years or 8 years. I'm not sure I would really be able to parse it out. Sometimes I think back at some of the movies that we've covered, like, Catwoman. How long ago did we talk about Catwoman, Andrew? 4 years ago? 6 months ago? I don't know.
Don't make me go back there.
All right, forward and onward. Waterworld, what we're talking about today. The movie that was released July 28th, 1995, made on a budget of $175 million, the most expensive movie ever made at the time. At the box office, it brings in $264 million, well below what it needs to recoup that production cost, and critically, it is not well received. It holds a 46% on Rotten Tomatoes, so while it may not exactly be panned, it is not a people pleaser. Even the audience score, as it stands today, is at 43%, so pretty close with the critic score. I know this movie does have its defenders. It actually got a pretty glamorous 4K release, I think in like 2019. So there's people out there, but they seem to be the minority, Andrew.
Yeah, it's not a movie that I think there's been some massive like cultural swing back to just like, hey, maybe we were all a little harsh on Waterworld. I feel like it's a movie that has its defenders. They are dozens in their numbers. And but overall it does not feel like we're teeing ourselves up for kind of a massive, Waterworld resurgence. Although there were apparently if you read the Wikipedia on this, there were apparently several rides inspired by this movie at Universal Studios, and apparently all of them are still running. So there is a spectacle,
really?
Apparently. Yeah, 4 themed attractions, one at Universal Studios Hollywood, Singapore, Japan, and Beijing, called Waterworld, a live sea war spectacular, all of which are still running as of 2024. Okay, I don't know, Chris. I don't know what to do with this. I just was saying it.
I'm just surprised it's still running. I'm surprised that's been turned into a different property at this point. But speaking a little more to that reception, like I said, the news story at the time was all about its troubled production and insane budget. So much so that Roger Ebert's review, who does give it a thumbs up, but it's 2.5 stars out of 4, and not exactly glowing. But this is how he opened his review. So here it is at last. Waterworld. 2 years and $200 million in the making. In the old days in Hollywood, they used to brag about how much a movie cost. Now they apologize. There's been so much publicity about this movie's budget that a review of the story seems besides the point. I should just print the spreadsheets. So obviously that's all anyone's talking about leading up to its release. It's almost like people in a weird way want it to fail. We've seen this kind of recently with like Avatar 2 or the first Avatar or Titanic or any James Cameron movie now that I think about it. But whenever the news breaks about its crazy long production and the budget, people are like, well, there's no way this can make money. Again, people are still doubting James Cameron. Like Avatar 2 is coming out. Like, well, he can't do it again. The first one was it was almost a fluke and no one cares about it anymore. And then he just is, knocks it out of the park every time. But this was an instance of where it couldn't quite live up to the impossible expectations set by the money they spent on it.
Yeah, I think that's a completely fair way to look at it. And yeah, you're just talking about that budget, talking about everything. It was just an uphill battle. Like it's an uphill climb when you put yourself at that kind of level of movie. And like, this is not like Avengers Endgame, which was super expensive, but was the culmination of like everything in the MCU. This was 175 million spent on essentially a brand new concept, similar to like an Avatar or something like that, and it was a big swing. So there's something to respect about that. But yeah, it's doesn't get there. Unfortunately, for better or worse, it does not.
Taking a look at the creative team, the movie is written by Peter Rader and David Twohy. Now, Mr. Rader, I can't find much information about this guy. This seems to be easily his most high-profile writing credit, but looking at his IMDb, there's some sparse things here and there, some directorial efforts, some movies I have never heard of. So it's a bit of a mystery to me how he ends up as the lead credited writer on Waterworld. But David Twohy does have a number of successful projects under his belt. Before Waterworld, he was one of the writers on The Fugitive, pretty big deal. After this is also a writer on The Arrival. Not Arrival, this is The Arrival. It's a different alien movie. G.I. Jane and Pitch Black, which is significant because he becomes one of the lead creatives on that entire franchise, moving on to Chronicles of Riddick and Riddick after that. And it's maybe the thing he's most known for these days, but definitely a respectable filmography throughout Hollywood there.
Yeah, and apparently there's another Riddick movie coming, I guess.
Riddick movies will continue until morale improves, Andrew.
So forever, okay. It's yeah, so he's got a little bit more of a pedigree that I expect. And like reading the production bits about the movie, it says that like Peter Rader came up with the idea for Waterworld during a conversation. It says with this guy Brad Cravoy, but I have no idea who he is or why it matters. Because he's just like a film producer, and like they openly discuss like how it's a Mad Max ripoff. Like it's apparently that's like an open topic of discussion about how they're just taking the Mad Max concepts. There's even a apparently an inspiration taken from a comic strip called Freakwave, which is by Peter Milligan and Brendan McCarthy, which was basically the joke of the strip was Mad Max goes surfing. And apparently McCarthy had himself successfully tried to sell that, and then McCarthy actually becomes a co-writer on Mad Max Fury Road. So there's a lot of I mentioned it beforehand on the just talking to you before we started recording that it feels like this movie wants so hard to be Mad Max. Like you could literally change minor things and essentially just make this a Mad Max movie, and that's even shared with the cinematographer. We don't really talk cinematographers, but the cinematographer of Waterworld, Dean Semler, is the cinematographer of Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior. And also Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. So like he's got some pedigree there. He had worked with Costner before on Dances with Wolves as well. So also was the cinematographer on Super Mario Brothers. So this guy definitely has a type of movie that he makes. Yeah. He also may or may not be responsible for being the cinematographer on other movies we may be discussing this month. So Dean Semler, just part of that shared DNA between these things, though. And but yeah, it seems like Peter Rader kind of comes up with this idea, and just kind of sees it, and then other people kind of see it through to completion. And it reminds me that I used to have a book of Peter Milligan and Brendan McCarthy's comics, and I don't anymore. So apparently, I need to replace it. So I can read Freakwave and see how deep of a ripoff it really is. But anyway, #PP.
The movie's directed by Kevin Reynolds, who is a frequent Kevin Costner collaborator. Before this, a writer and director, as a writer on the Patrick Swayze film Red Dawn, directed Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, of course, with Kevin Costner. Directs Waterworld, goes on to direct The Count of Monte Cristo, the Guy Pearce, Jim Caviezel one from the early 2000s. I really do enjoy that, and partners up once again with Kevin Costner for the miniseries Hatfields and McCoys, which I haven't watched. Doesn't seem like it's made for me, but I hear good things. Seems to be pretty well respected.
Generally, yeah. And that seems to kind of be the thing that kind of showed Reynolds and Costner kind of burying the hatchet with each other, being like, "Hey, we can work together now." And it was like, nobody cares, dude. We've all moved on. But
Remember that Waterworld beef that we're all talking about still?
So they do start their collaboration in 1985 with a movie called Fandango, not related to the film ticketing platform of the same name. But that's where they kind of meet. And so they do Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Kevin Costner produces Kevin Reynolds' film just before Waterworld called Rapa Nui. And then they do Waterworld together. And there is... it's an open secret, largely, that apparently Kevin Costner possibly also directs sizable chunks of this movie and also sees it through the rest of production after the tensions between Costner and Reynolds boiled over to the point that Reynolds left production. This is what we talk about when we say the kind of behind the scenes drama became kind of its own thing. So
do you think this
there's
got like a
definitely-
shouting match and then Kevin Reynolds just like hops in a rowboat and just slowly paddles away? I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. Nah, it was the jet ski. I just always imagined that since they're both named Kevin, it would just be endless. Him, me, him, you, me. They're just the night at the Roxbury. Which Kevin are you talking to? Otherwise, yeah, he's not been out. He did a movie called Risen in 2016. This is Kevin Reynolds now. Otherwise, has kept a largely low profile. Did obviously, like you said, he did The Count of Monte Cristo in the early 2000s, Tristan and Isolde, which is a movie I remember coming out for some reason. And then Risen, which I'm guessing is a Jesus movie, because it is called Risen, and the poster is a guy in front of a tomb with a stone rolled to the side. And based off of no other information, sounds like we're dealing with Jesus.
Quite the
or
sleuth
at least
there, Andrew.
Quite Jesus adjacent, at least. So not doing a whole lot, but I mean, there are some, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves was a movie that made some money. So he's got some hits. Like, I did not understand how much money Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves made.
How much
that movie
make?
cost? It cost $48 million. Makes almost $400 million.
That's pretty insane.
In 1991, it makes $400 million. Like, that's nuts. Like, and it's a movie I didn't see for a really long time and didn't understand that Robin Hood Men in Tights was mostly just making fun of this movie.
Same. I've seen Men in Tights a million times. I probably have not seen Prince of Thieves beginning to end, but it didn't matter to me that I didn't see the source material. I thought this was just a hilarious Robin Hood movie.
Well, and like the joke in the movie that unlike some Robin Hoods, I can speak with an English accent. He's directly making fun of Kevin Costner there. So like the sheriff of Rottingham in Men in Tights, the look and style he has is Alan Rickman's from Prince of Thieves. So like it's the same with Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula and Dracula Dead and Loving It. Like once you see that, you see there's a lot of shared DNA there.
R.I.P. Richard Lewis.
Oh man. Dude, I'm so sad. That's a bummer. He's so good in Robin Hood Men in Tights. Like, I don't know if I'd say he's the Mark Strong, but he's absolutely top running for it. And to be fair, I don't know who else you would pick over him. Like, he's so good in
Elvis
that
at
movie.
the center of it, but
Elvis is pretty good, but like, I don't know. I mean, the guy who plays, Roger Dees that plays the Sheriff of Rottingham, he's also very, very good. The guy who plays Blinken is really good. Like, everybody in that movie is really, really good. But Richard Lewis is unbelievably good. And his last few appearances on Curb Your Enthusiasm are like, they must have known he wasn't going to be around very long, because there's a lot of very dark humor about Richard
like
Lewis dying.
his will and leaving.
Yeah, like
I've seen those clips floating around a lot.
Like,
since he passed
and
away.
it's just, and don't get me wrong, that's completely in line with like the type of people that Richard Lewis and Larry David are. They would absolutely be like, well, you're dying anyway, let's make this a joke. So, but
what's the angle? What's the take we can have on this?
What's this? And like, the thing I liked about Larry David's statement was, he said, he talked like, how they were brothers, they were born in the same hospital, like days apart. So they were kind of always kind of going to come back around. But the last thing he says is he's like, "And today, Richard, you made me cry, and for that, I'm never going to forgive you." And it just seemed like the perfect sum of like just how they are as comedians and how they were as colleagues and friends. So perfect. Anyway, weird sidebar. Anyway, Prince of Thieves made a ton of money. Robin Hood Men in Tights, still pretty funny. Go watch it.
And Waterworld, the movie we're talking about.
So Kevin
today.
Reynolds, like I said, ultimately the rumors when he gets thrown out or when he quits, whatever it is, it's kind of questionable. We don't really know. Reynolds still gets full credit as director. That's probably a guild thing. He directed like a certain amount of the movie. So it is interesting to note that like the score was something that was like
they threw the original out too and brought in David Newton Howard and
James Newton Howard. And then even like Joss Whedon was thrown out to the set to do last minute script rewrites and later described So Joss Whedon described it as 7 weeks of hell, and that guy really knows what making people's lives hell is like. So, it's wild how this movie goes. But yeah, so Kevin Reynolds, a valiant effort made by him to try to get this movie through the finish line, but ultimately it feels like Kevin Costner really is the one who has to carry it over there, and probably his own fault. So.
Well, Andrew, it's time we dive in, talk about this film, all the positives, everything we like about Waterworld. You ready?
Yeah.
Hundreds of years in the future, long after the polar ice caps have melted, humans are forced to live as drifters on the vast ocean that covers the planet. One of these humans, a mutant known only as Mariner, agrees to help a woman and the young girl she cares for find the rumored dry land, a place where the ground still rises above the surface of the water. They are hunted by a gang known as the Smokers, who believe the young girl is the key to finding dry land and will stop at nothing to capture her. It's pretty simple, Andrew. We got our good guys. They're on the run, chased by the bad guys. They're gonna come head to head at the end of this film. Bada bing, bada boom. And it's all on water. A little caveat there.
Yeah. It's a tale as old as time.
The thing I was probably most unprepared for, I mentioned that synopsis that Kevin Costner is a mutant. 15 minutes in this movie, someone like moves his ear and they go, "He's a mutant. He's got gills." I was literally like, what? That's what this movie is about? That he's evolved to live in this water world? And it kind of comes into play. It doesn't matter that much, but yeah, Kevin Costner has webbed feet in this movie.
This movie went to places that I did not expect. That is what I will say. Yeah, I did fair. Not expect that. I did not expect all sorts of stuff like that. But it was yeah, and then not just did they see it, they were all like appalled. They were all like genuinely like, this is also the reason they know something is strange about him. We can talk about that more with scenes, but they like he doesn't want to have sex with one of the women on this island. So the elders are like, something strange about this man. No way a man turns down sex. And it was like, oh God, like Jesus.
Every time the concept of sex comes up in this movie, kind of a lot. God. It's kind of a horny movie. I couldn't help but think, these people are so dirty. Like, this is so gross. The thought of just these gross, dirty people in the water, gross. But before we talk about that, before we get ahead of ourselves, talk about scenes, we got to talk about the cast of this film, starting with the high point, best casting, best performance of the movie, because every episode we recognize one person who goes so far above and beyond the call of duty that they actually elevate the quality of the entire film with their performance, and we recognize that person by giving them the Mark Strong Award. So, Andrew, go ahead and kick us off. Who is getting your Mark Strong Award for Waterworld?
I am going to be going with a man who is giving what I believe is a performance worthy of being in a Mad Max film, but I have to go with Dennis Hopper as our villain of the piece, called the Deacon. Don't believe he's got any greater name that they give him at any point, but he, from the minute he's on screen, understanding the assignment feels like the best way to describe his performance here. Like, he's the guy that seems to understand the kind of ridiculous nature of what's happening here, that it's basically Mad Max at sea.
I mean,
and,
hashtag PP, there was I'm not entirely sure what tone they were going for, but I like the tone when he's on screen, if that makes
right.
sense.
He's, well, and it's interesting because he's giving what is a very kind of over the top, and I'll say it, kind of goofy performance. Like, he's really leaning into this kind of Immortan Joe adjacent type performance, with a lot more kind of being straight up, like, kind of nonsensical about things. And maybe that's just life at sea, man. Maybe if you're not a mutant, life at sea just drives you crazy after a while. But anyway, he is chewing up every bit of non-existent scenery in these water sets. He is leaning into everything possible, and he is giving a performance that would not feel out of place in a Mad Max film to me. Obviously, Dennis Hopper, an alum of the show, was in a little movie called Super Mario Brothers.
He's had to have won a Mark Strong award there. I don't remember. There's no way to go back and check, but I think he's now a 2-time Mark Strong award winner.
I'm sure I mentioned it on that episode, but he's also the villain in Blue Velvet, the David Lynch film with the same name, and he is absolutely terrifying there. He's
great villain. I mean, Speed.
He's fantastic.
He's so good at chewing the scenery.
Dude, first off, Speed, amazing. Like, it's great, and I think people know it's great, but they don't think people talk about it enough, even still. And that's not even diving into, like, he was in Easy Rider and Cool Hand Luke and
Apocalypse Now.
Like, he's got this tremendous career. Obviously, the most notable thing from his career, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Of course.
He's been everywhere. And he is even later stuff. And, like, he was in George Romero's Land of the Dead in 2005. And he was in Ed TV, which was not at all a weird Truman Show adjacent film released almost right after that came out. But
that might be a good theme for a month, Andrew.
Call it like Deja Vu or something like that. Yeah, it could be interesting. But anyway, Dennis Hopper is great. He's fantastic. He leans into roles no matter how ridiculous or insane they are. I mean, this has to be not too far removed from Super Mario Brothers, or even possibly I think it's after.
Mario Bros. 93, I believe. So just a couple years after.
Yeah, so it's Mario Brothers. Then he has True Romance, where he's also very good. And then Speed in 90. Man, he does Super Mario Brothers, True Romance, Speed, and Waterworld basically in a row. That's a pretty, as far as intense performances, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's obviously, rest in peace, Dennis Hopper. He passed away quite some time ago. But it's been like 14 years now. But had many illnesses that caused him a lot of issues. And ultimately, I think it was cancer. But left quite the legacy behind. And Waterworld, for all its foibles, you cannot say that there is not a compelling villain at the center of it. He is fantastic in this. So Mark Strong, 2-time, assumedly based off of no research and lacking the ability to do any research, 2-time Mark Strong Award winner, Dennis Hopper.
Andrew, I'm agreeing with you 100%. Dennis Hopper also getting my Mark Strong Award. This was honestly a pretty easy pick. There's not an insult to anybody else in this movie, but he is just bringing such a necessary energy to this movie. Kevin Costner is such a subdued and actor and really straightforward, has this like everyman quality. A lot of people are really playing up the dramatics of this post-apocalyptic world, but he looks like he is having a blast in this world. It is one of the few people really on that level. It's just so much fun. So he just really stands out on the canvas of this movie. He's got some like classic villain stuff, big bad stuff, like whenever he's interrogating two people and he's like, whoever talks first will be spared and I'll shoot the other one. And then he gets the information he needs, he kills the other one, lets the first guy finish, and then he holds up the gun to kill him. And he's like, wait, you said that you wouldn't kill me. And he's like, did I? Did I say that? Any witnesses? Maybe I did. He just passes off the gun to someone else, so someone else shoots the guy instead. Like, yeah. It's great. That could be any movie, big bad villain. Any gang leader, any super villain. It's a great bit that he plays so well. There's a very memorable scene where he loses his eye early in this movie, and they're trying to create a replacement, this fake eye that they paint. And he, turns and reveals it towards the camera, and it's so big and so goofy looking. He looks at it in the mirror. He's like, "Oh yeah, that'll look pretty stupid." And then he gets like knocked out 30 seconds later, and we never see it again. I was really hoping that big goofy eye was going to be there the rest of the movie, but it's bonkers. It's a bonkers performance. He's an unhinged bad guy. Few people can do it like Dennis Hopper. So yeah, very deserving of the Mark Strong Award. Andrew, as I mentioned, Kevin Costner is in this movie. He's the lead of this film. He plays a character only known as the Mariner. Sort of a, the Mad Max influence is obvious, but there's definitely like a Western thing here where we have this lone, quote unquote, gunman, man without a name thing they're going for here. And of course, Kevin Costner, no stranger to the Western aesthetic. So definitely some influence there. He has gills. He has webbed feet. He's quite unlikable at first because he clearly cares about no one. But in this movie, he has a little surrogate family. It's a nice little arc. Look, hashtag PP. I have nothing bad to say about Kevin Costner's performance. I also don't have much praise either. He's fine. He's doing a good job at the middle of the movie.
It's an interesting performance because I think the idea is to kind of make this character kind of mysterious. Like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? What's his deal? And they never dive into it. Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah. That should have been Dennis Hopper's name, Cotton Eye Joe. He just gets a fake eye. Morton Joe. This is Cotton Eye Joe.
Oh man. Anyway, it's a fine line because, like Clint Eastwood, you take the Man from No Name trilogy. Like, obviously, you talk about Western influence, things like that. Like, the Man from No Name trilogy could easily be something that's part of an influence here. But like, Clint Eastwood had the rule of cool in his favor when he made those movies. Like, he didn't really care who he was because the character was so cool. With the Mariner, you're not really given any of the coolness necessarily. Like, you've got this kind of aloof, detached, mysterious character who throughout the course of the movie, who drinks his own piss, willingly. Maybe not willingly. Doesn't have a lot of choices, I guess. But by keeping him so aloof and kind of detached and learning nothing about him, you kind of end up making the character kind of flat, I guess maybe might be the right word. Like, there's not a lot to him. And you build some humanity throughout this. Like, he develops, an appreciation and a respect and a caring relationship with these people. And, but ultimately at the end of the day, he goes back to the ocean. So Kevin Costner is doing just fine there. Like, I think he's playing the role exactly as he envisions the role. But it ultimately doesn't stand out as much as some other performances just because I think of the kind of choices they're making to kind of make the character seem kind of mysterious and detached. And, it's perfectly fine.
And then we have Jean Triplehorn as Helen. She is a woman that is rescued by the Mariner along with the young girl she's taking care of. And she is just, for the first half of this movie, desperately pleading for him to take them to dry land. The Mariner is kind of her only hope for a better life, to get away, to hopefully find dry land. And they are quite at odds throughout most of this movie. There's a little budding relationship, that a romance, I should say, that develops throughout. But she is, I talk about, Dennis Hopper having a blast. Most of these characters are playing up the drama, and she is distraught and deadly serious throughout most of this movie because she's in a dire situation. I mean, we're in a post-apocalyptic world, and it's, they're playing up the realities of what that would be like. But I think she does certainly a good job at it. Relatively early in her career, she'd only been in movies for a few years for landing this role. Goes on to have a pretty great career, different movies, and some pretty high-profile TV shows and miniseries. Still out there doing her thing. But thumbs up from me for Jean Triplehorn. What a cool name.
Yeah. I mean, she was in Basic Instinct before this. That was a pretty high-profile role. The Firm, the kind of Tom Cruise legal thriller back when that was kind of that's how you became a movie star. You had to star in a legal thriller based off a John Grisham book. And that was Tom Cruise's turn. So she had some stuff before this, and then does Waterworld. And then, like I said, just steadily working since in a mix of films and television. Was on that show Big Love with Bill Paxton, rest in peace, for many years. Apparently plays Joan Triplehorn in an episode of BoJack Horseman. So even having some fun there as well. But yeah, she's named Helen. Apparently that's a reference to Helen of Troy. That was apparently another influence on the story here. So they made a very subtle reference to that by naming this character Helen. Yeah, she's kind of got this... it's kind of similar to what you would see with something like the kind of... the girls in Mad Max Fury Road, this kind of not infatuation, but this kind of just this fixation on what they see as like this mythical place that's going to save them. A place that's kind of a break from the dire apocalyptic nature of the world. Someplace that's, in Mad Max, it's kind of, I forget what they call it in Fury Road, but the green place, I think that's literally what they call it.
Yeah.
And here it's dry land. It's like a place where you have your feet on the ground. There's fresh water. There's plants. There's animals. There's everything. And so you get a similar vibe there of just this idea that there has to be something better than this, especially for this child. And it is a great performance. I think she does a good job with it. And yeah, thumbs up.
Speaking of the child, that is the character of Enola, played by Tina Majorino. I should really learn how to say these names before we start.
Majorino, I think.
Majorino, do you say it like a J? Okay. So, played by Tina, and it is a solid performance. Kid actors, we talk about them oddly a lot on this podcast, I guess, but you kind of grade them on that scale. But I think she's used sparingly enough that used effectively. I think she does a good job. Being a kid, she's playing with crayons, coloring on his boat, but also was clearly a bit wise beyond her years and maybe been forced to grow up too fast, get the world that they live in, isn't afraid to stand up to the Mariner, which I really appreciate. I like their dynamic as they kind of form their paternal relationship throughout the movie. So it's good. It's a thumbs up for me. As far as this actor, I was seeing if they continued acting, and they did. They had some roles as a child actor, kind of took a hiatus, and then came back to acting, most notably as Deb in Napoleon Dynamite. Andrew, I rarely speak of celebrities or characters in movies in this way, but I have such a crush on Deb in Napoleon Dynamite. That sideways ponytail, I don't know what to tell you. I love that character. I love her in that movie. So I was tickled. Obviously, I didn't recognize her. It doesn't really look the same. She grew up between movies, but I thought it was pretty fun. A little connection there.
Yeah. So like you said, still out there. She also sort of reunited with Gene Triplehorn in Big Love, was a recurring character on that show for a great many episodes, was on Veronica Mars. And then you can look at her more recent filmography. It's a lot of television stuff, recurring roles here and there. So just, yeah, it's nice to see kind of a child actor get to keep going and seemingly kind of do it on their own terms. And like you said, right here, they're playing this, I think, mostly just right. Does drop some pretty heavy lines. The Mariner has no name, and so death can't find him. It's like, really? Came up with that one on your own? But cool, it's a very cool line. And then everybody clapped. But yeah, she does a good job here with this. Like I said, they find that right balance and kind of really do lean a little bit into that idea that just you're kind of forced to grow up when you are in a situation like this, and it's not the life that Helen wants for Enola, and that's kind of driving her desire to move elsewhere and seek out dryland. She is her character is a major part of this film just because she has this tattoo on her back that is seemingly a map to dryland that nobody can quite decipher until towards the end. But that's what's driving Dennis Hopper to find and kidnap the child. That's what's driving Helen's kind of motivations too, is that maybe we can use this to find dryland, things like that. So it's a great performance, and yeah, it's good to see that she's still out there doing her thing.
And as we learn, this character is an orphan, and her name is Enola, which is alone, spelled backwards, Andrew. Really mean of her parents to name her that. It really doomed themselves, if you think about it.
Did they name her that, though? Do we know that?
I guess that's fair. That's fair. Maybe there's a
Helen's
cool
really
trick.
mean, then.
Yeah, somebody.
I was going to say,
right.
now I'm sad. This is terrible.
Alum of the show, Michael Jeter plays Old Gregor. We talked about this man back on Jurassic Park 3. A delightful actor, showed up in a ton of things. The Green Mile, just always a fun presence. He is a classically trained clown. He is Mr. Noodle on Elmo's World, not to be confused with Mr. Noodle or Mr. Noodle's brother, Mr. Noodle, or Mr. Noodle's other brother, Mr. Noodle, or Mr. Noodle's sister, Mrs. Noodle. Don't want to get you mixed up. But we've got a chance to talk about it a couple times. I love any time he pops up. R.I.P. He did pass away a number of years ago, but just even in this movie, as the weird inventor guy that creates this, I guess it's a blimp, but it's a cool blimp because it's useful in this movie. He shows up at the end, kind of as Deus Ex Machina to save the day, but just really fun, just really eccentric, really likable guy. That's his energy.
Yeah, he I love that he inadvertently flies away during the kind of siege.
Yeah, he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Come on.
Accidentally flies away, and
he tries to throw the rope, and it gets like,
and he throws it like the worst way possible, and like,
yeah.
And also he throws it terribly, and then it's like he can't throw it again. It's like gone. It's like,
nope,
well, I can't throw this rope again. You get one shot to throw a rope, then the rope goes bad. But yeah, it's just a wonderful character actor. Has shown up in a bunch of places. You've certainly seen him in things, Mouse Hunt, Patch Adams, Air Bud, all sorts of weird places where he'll play any number of different types of characters. But here he is doing, basically playing a quirky old man. That's all he's really doing. And just a nice little sliver of kind of some humanity and some empathy in this kind of very bleak world.
And lastly, I think we can talk about Gerard Murphy as the Nord. He is very antagonistic when we first meet him, and it turns out he is maybe like a spy or secretly part of the smoker gang. But he has this glorious blonde mane. I mean, he just looks like a bad guy in a movie, like a henchman for the main bad, and that's exactly what he is. Real mean, tough-looking dude. I don't know. Looks like he's right out of a 1995 movie as a bad guy. But I like, he's got a distinct look. He stands out. You know he's going to like get his comeuppance 3/4 into this movie, and that's exactly what happens. Looking at his credits, really not a ton of movie credits that I can find, but would later be in Batman Begins in a small role as the judge. Did pass away not too long after that, so R.I.P. Gerard Murphy, but memorable goon in this film.
Yeah, absolutely. He's kind of hiding out at the atoll, as they call them, at the beginning. And then ultimately, turns out he's working with the bad guys. But yeah, he's perfect thug.
The hair. It's
And the hair.
It's the
My
hair.
God, the hair.
There's a lot of other bit parts, but kind of just by nature of this story, the way it's constantly moving, not a lot of them stick around for a significant amount of time. So I think we covered our key players, but I gotta just shout out Jack Black is in this movie somewhere. Wikipedia is telling me that he is a plane pilot. There's certainly a few of those in this movie. One of them is Jack Black. That's fun. Also in Cable Guy.
Yeah, like I said, I was just like, cool. I said, I think I know the scene he's in, but like he's covered in so much dirt and stuff. It's like I can't even tell it's him.
I'm gonna search here. Jack Black, Waterworld. See if I can just get a screen cap.
Smoker plane pilot. Is he who I think he is?
He is who you think he is. Yeah, he's in that plane that gets stuck on his boat, spins in a circle. There is a shot of him, like, where you can see his whole face somewhere in this movie. But yeah, there he is. Jack Black. Who would have known?
Good for him.
What a career he had, like, in the 90s. He shows up in Mars Attacks in this really bit role. Like I said, real small role, okay, but guy, he was kind of, toiling around Hollywood for a while before he finally broke out.
Yeah, it's a little interesting. And then he gets High Fidelity in 2000, and that breaks him out. I don't know, maybe. But yeah, it's always wild to see things like that. But yeah, like you said, there's a whole bunch of other bit parts here. We can talk about them as they come up, if they come up. Otherwise, you can see for yourself on the internet, folks. They're all out there.
Let's just jump into it, Andrew. Waterworld. What do we like? What works? What are the positives here? We're going to start with the best scene of the movie, or at least our personal favorite. So, Andrew, I'm going to start with you. When is this movie firing on all cylinders? What's the best scene in Waterworld?
There's a couple of big action sequences in this movie, and they all take place at kind of different settings and different scenarios. But I think the one I'm going to go with is actually, it's our first kind of large-scale action sequence. But it's when the drifter / mariner, mariner, he basically gets outed as a mutant at this atoll, and he gets captured. And they kind of are like, we can't just let him leave. We have to kill him now. But while they're kind of about to like lower him into this like mud, which I guess is how it's where they put their people after they pass away. I guess it's how they kill people. They just drop them into mud.
Recycle them is what they say.
Recycle them, yes, I guess. So it's toxic mud. But anyway, before that can really come to pass, Dennis Hopper and the Smokers, as they're called, make the first appearance. They are called the Smokers because they smoke cigarettes.
They all got a cigarette hanging out of their mouth.
I don't know where they're finding these things. Like, it's like, I don't know. But, and they're like, not just like loose, they're pulling them out of packs. Like, they're literally like, anyway. And that's again, like, it's in line with like Mad Max for like whole villain groups. So like, Bullet Town and things like that. It's this idea that, as we're being very literal with what we're talking about. And, anyway, this leads to a rather large-scale action sequence where the Smokers attack this atoll with the intention of taking it over and basically pillaging it of any people / resources that they want. But the Mariner kind of finds himself stuck in the middle of this. And so you get to see kind of this world in full effect. You get to kind of see these people in their ways kind of really struggling to survive against what's happening because they're not prepared for this kind of onslaught. You're seeing how the Smokers can be this ruthless gang of pirates. They've got guns. They've multiple different vehicles and weapons, and it makes it very easy for them to overpower these people. And then we get kind of a glimpse of the Mariner in action as well as he kind of gets himself free and then kind of makes his escape. They make working a boat look really cool and impressive.
I
'cause Kevin
never know
Costner,
what he's
like,
doing for those
no
levers
idea,
and wheels and
no
stuff,
idea,
but it
no
does
idea.
look
He's
cool.
got like the crank that he's doing, and I don't know what else he's doing, but they make it look really, really cool. And so this sequence kind of has it all. We get our first appearance of Dennis Hopper with some of his great lines. We get kind of some full Mad Max-esque action with this kind of weird, kind of guerrilla siege type tactics. Like, we're not, this is not refined combat whatsoever. This is really nitty gritty and dirty, which is impressive for a movie that takes place entirely in water for how dirty this movie is. Like, it's almost impressive. And it's just cool. You get pretty much every single thing about this movie is on display here, doing, I think, the best version of what it's doing. And it takes place on the water, so it's a sequence that's mostly a water-based fight. A lot of our later situations, including our climax, are kind of like the final climax is like on a big boat. So it's really, but it's like a tanker type boat. So like, you're not really like, you're fighting on ground at that point, basically. So with this one kind of using the kind of seafarer combat, it's just really cool. I liked it a lot. And it was the moment where I was like, yeah, this movie's pretty rad.
Andrew, I'm going to agree with you as far as the pick for best scene in the movie, favorite scene in the movie. I really like this whole atoll scene. And for one, like, it is a huge practical set really floating on top of the water. They built this entire thing. I mean, this is where a huge part of the budget goes. One, because it's a huge practical floating set, and two, because it sank at one point and they had to repair it and get it back up and working on the water. This was apparently a huge headache for production, and I think they really learned early on just how difficult this movie was going to be to shoot and why that budget kept inflating and inflating. But it really looks impressive in a way that I know we slip into this so often on this podcast, but I can't help but look at this huge set, all this practical stuff, and the cage that lowers them is practical and actually moves and stuff. And it's like, if they made this today, it would not be 100% practical. It's just, they literally don't make them like this anymore. It would be 1/4 of it was practical. They extend it with CG. And look, I'm not saying that's better or worse. They still make good movies today, don't get me wrong, but they just don't make it like this. So anytime I go back, I always got to just soak in that practicality, baby, because it is truly a lost art. But never is that more on display in this film than the atoll. I kind of thought we would be traveling from, like, quote unquote city to city throughout this movie and seeing a lot of these different structures, but this is really the only one. We're mostly just on his boat the rest of this movie, occasionally another boat, and then finally a big boat. But this is the only time we see, like, this kind of structure that humans have made in this future world that is all on top of the water. But yeah, I mean, it's a good action scene. It's like a stunt show you might see at like a theme park. The smokers show up with all of their jet skis, and obviously have like trained professionals running these jet skis, all the jumps and stuff that they do. I was kind of wondering when the jet skis first showed up, I'm like, how are we getting gas? How do we have functioning jet skis hundreds of years in the future? And then I see they show you a shot where, like, they've clearly rigged them. They got wires and they're electrical powered. And I go, oh, okay. And then like 2 seconds pass and I go, wait a minute, does that really answer my question? How are they getting electricity? Does this really solve it? But you know what? I don't care. It solves it enough for me to be like, we find a way. We find a way to have jet skis 100 years in the future.
Chris,
that's all I need to know.
You understand that they answer this question, right?
Is there something in the movie I missed about how they're running these?
When he looks down into the hole and there's that dude standing there, he's standing in oil. Like, he's standing in, like,
you think that's running their jet skis too? I thought those were electric jet skis because they have like this big battery with wires going up on them. You think they're using their gas for the jet skis?
I mean, they're using their gas for lots of things, and they're concerned about it running out. So,
Andrew, I have a serious question though.
Okay.
Is oil the same thing as gas?
No.
But isn't that oil on that big tanker?
Or maybe it's I don't know. Chris, I don't live in the future.
It's a fun scene, Andrew.
But in that scene where the guy's like in the hole, like he's like measuring it, he measures the
Right.
depth, and so like they say that's enough for X, Y, and Z, and so they seem to be implying that that's their source of fuel, and maybe that's what the rigging is for. The rigging is so it runs off of oil, which is not a thing, folks. Don't try it.
I don't know. There's enough explanation that I don't care. I'm like, yeah, I get it. This is fun enough. I like seeing all the jet skis.
You're watching the movie wrong.
Clearly. It's good stuff. Good pick, Andrew. I gotta agree. This was definitely the high point for me.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's kind of the movie distilled into a single scene, and this is it. And like you said, it definitely feels like a theme park attraction, and you got to wonder if maybe someday we're going to come back to that.
Over in the Discord, we announced the movies we're covering this month, and we had someone write in about this very film, Andrew. This comes from Groffles, who says, first off, congrats on episode 150. Thank you, Groffles. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. Thanks for writing in. Mark Strong Award, Dennis Hopper. This is the movie I most associate with his acting career. I love his villainy. He's such a ham. His performance oozes deceit, selfishness, and sadism. All perfect for a villain. Look, Groffles, we agree. Definitely Mark Strong Award winner all around. They go on to say, I know it is a film that has an incredible history and legacy, so I'll try to keep this as short as I can. I unironically have always loved this film. I don't know all of the critical issues or understand why many of the criticisms people think should apply to this film in particular. There are large blockbuster films which have not been well received with sci-fi themes, and I don't believe this has flat acting or convoluted plot or needs to be propped up by the theme of outlandish societal collapse like Battlefield Earth, Jupiter Ascending, or Mad Max, respectively. There is a pressing environmental societal issue expanded upon through action and adventure with a message of hope at the end. Oh, and a killer musical theme. At age 9, watching this movie for the first time on VHS rental, I distinctly remember loving the musical theme enough to try to learn the simple melody on piano. I have continued to watch Waterworld since then about once every 4 years or so. I've thoroughly enjoyed how it can take the idea of land-dwelling humans and making them live through the terror, mystery, and thrill of living on the endless ocean waters. Jaws didn't scare me when growing up. The creature that almost ate the mariner while fishing did. Well, Andrew, I think Ruffles just said Waterworld's better than Jaws.
You're certainly saying that the creature in Waterworld is scarier than Jaws, which I'm just going to tell you, Groffles, the creature in Waterworld can't hurt you. Sharks, they can't hurt you.
Only if you go in the water, Andrew. I'm not going to knock on the door.
There's water in my toilet, man.
Thanks for writing in, Groffles.
Thank you.
So glad you shared that with us. I can certainly see a world. I mean, look, there's stuff in this
Waterworld, Chris,
I'd
not
like.
SeaWorld.
You got me. I can see a world where you see this movie at a young age and it captures your imagination, and you
like
kind
just
of,
the spectacle alone.
yeah, absolutely. And there's stuff to like here. There's the concept of a water world, of living on water. I'm not sure it's ever really been explored to the extent that this movie does. So for that reason, I mean, I think it's going to stick with you. You see it, especially at a young age, really any time. There's a quote from Roger Ebert farther down in his review, actually, how he ends it. He says, basically, the movie plays smoothly as a combination of chases, fights, bizarre locations, special effects, and the cold, distant, slowly thawing behavior of Mariner toward his passengers. I'll remember some of the sights in Waterworld for a long time, but I won't necessarily want to see them again. #PP. He actually put that at the end of his review, #PP. But I agree, like on a base level, there's some insane shots in this movie and just an aesthetic that is unlike anything else. I am so impressed that you don't see land at all ever in this movie. Spoilers, except for the very end. It is really wild that they committed so hard to filming this entire thing on water. or an underwater.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. That's definitely something that stands out watching it. It's just like they found. I don't know if they were using effects to erase lands in the background, but like it truly looks like this movie takes place in the middle of the ocean with nothing around.
Yeah.
It feels, guys, the ocean is terrifying. It
really is
genuinely terrifying.
I kept thinking that. I'm like, how do you like navigate? Like, how do you? Because he's like, you've seen dry land before. That's what they say to the mariner. You can take me there, and it's like, even if he had visited this island before, how could he possibly know how to get back there? Like, it's just crazy.
Because it's established generally, I guess, that the land they find is the top of Mount Everest.
Yeah.
So like, that's how much water is filling the planet. So it's so much water that the top of Mount Everest is now sea level, basically. So that's miles of water that's risen up. And it's just insane to think, because the ocean's already terrifying, and then that much water being added, basically sinking the rest of the planet, makes it an even more terrifying thing. So just like, and we don't really know what's down there. That's the thing. That we've mapped a lot of the ocean, but we truly honestly don't know what's in there. Like, we talk about space and terrifying things out in space. We don't even know what's in the ocean, dude.
I'm more scared of the ocean.
The ocean is an actual, like, I guess like I can go to the ocean and look out and be like, not today. Space just doesn't register really in that regard for me, because I'm never going to space, but I could end up in the ocean, and that would be terrible.
Yeah, I these shots of like this little boat they're on, and it's just nothing but water as far as the eye can see, and they're just sailing in a direction. Just wild, dude. And like at some point in our history, like that happened, like sailing across the Atlantic Ocean or Pacific Ocean. What that must have felt like to like, let's just go in this direction for months, and eventually we'll hit something. It's just crazy, dude. Absolutely crazy.
Well, and just like you think about that, if the top of Mount Everest is the only land left, that's like a terrifyingly small speck on this massive planet. Like, you have to know where you're going to find it. You're not just like I can't imagine.
But how do you know with
Earth.
no like the star? You're navigating by the stars to find.
Yeah, like I don't know how he takes the tattoo and turns it into coordinates. I don't really understand that. But and even then, like, they turn around and start going, and it's like, cool. How long did it take you guys to get there? Or are you just all inadvertently hanging around that general area of Mount Everest? Yeah, it's wild. But it's the scale of this. I will say this. This movie has a very epic scale. It has that sense of scope. And that is something that I think is missing from a lot of movies that do try to do this kind of epic thing, is there's this tremendous lack of scale, where it just still feels very small despite these kind of, giant apocalyptic ramifications. And in that regard, I think the movie does succeed in making this movie feel, and specifically making the ocean feel massive.
Also in the Discord, Mecha Rekka writes in and says, congrats on 150 episodes. Best of the rest. Y'all are awesome. Mecha Rekka, you're awesome. Thank you so much for writing in. Thank you for listening. 150 episodes. This is crazy. You know what else is crazy, Andrew? This movie that we're talking about. Quick shout out here. I love that the Universal logo seamlessly transitions into the actual film. You have the classic Universal logo of the big words going over the earth. And then on the earth, we see the polar ice caps melt and the water rise, and we zoom in, and Kevin Costner drinks his own piss. It's great.
So can I talk about one of the things in this movie that I think is hilarious?
Yeah, go for it.
So first off, I will say this. Petroleum is used to make gasoline. So that's what's in there.
Researching this?
Yes, I was. I was making sure I wasn't crazy. But because I did notice that the boat the Deacon is on is the Exxon Valdez. Which is a real boat that crashed, went ashore. And at one point, he points to, it's Captain Joe Hazelwood's picture is on the wall. And he was the real captain of the Exxon Valdez when it crashed. and like he was like a person, like he got clowned pretty hard because it was pretty heavily suspected that he was drunk when it happened. And so like they're finding all these booze on the boat and things like that. So the fact that they used the actual Exxon Valdez as the basis of operations for our villains, using the crude oil on that tanker, assumedly as the kind of fuel for their kind of pirate empire, have a literal picture of Joe Hazelwood and have him basically be, he calls him Saint Joe at one point.
Yeah.
So the disgraced captain of the actual Exxon Valdez is the patron saint of the Deacon in Waterworld in this post-apocalyptic future, where he lives on the tanker the man crashed into the ground and caused the biggest oil spill in history until Deepwater Horizon. Yeah, the fact that they made that a plot point in this movie will never not be hilarious to me.
I mean, that is pretty fun. That is pretty fun. I do like that.
I mean, it's not fun for the ramifications of what actually happened, but it's of all the things to take and turn into that.
Let's say what they're doing in this
so
movie
needlessly
is what's
specific.
fun. Yes.
Yeah, so needlessly specific. Like so.
You know what I like? In this vast ocean of Waterworld, there's just apparently, Andrew, just character actors out floating around. And sometimes Kevin Costner bumps into one. Twice in this movie. So like early on, he runs into that guy who looks alarmingly like Oscar Isaac, who steals his limes and tries to pull one over on him and get away. And that's when Kevin Costner first transforms his boat with his big massive sail into like this like a speedboat, basically a speed sailboat, and leaves that guy to die, get attacked by the smokers. And then later in this movie, once he has Helen and Alona on board, they run into someone else who is just really going for it. Like,
man, so let me talk about this for a second.
Okay.
It's Kim Coates plays this second one. And I know who Kim Coates is because he shows up. He's been in all sorts of things. He was in Sons of Anarchy. He was in Prison Break, tons of shows, a bunch of movies too. But what I actually most remember him for is he plays the hockey coach in the Sean William Scott hockey film Goon, where he plays the most different person you could possibly imagine when comparing it to this character. And so I'm watching this and I'm seeing him. First off, he's a guy that when you look at this guy, Chris, only one thought enters my head.
Imagine the smell.
Imagine the smell. I thought that's where you were going earlier with your discussion about the sets. You were just like, you're like, like with the mud and the cage and everything. I was like, yeah, imagine the smell. And you were like, they just don't do it like this anymore. And I was like, wait, no, that's not what we're doing here.
I was saving it for this discussion, Andrew. This guy,
and
gross.
so gross. But he's in that movie where he plays the coach of this hockey team, and he's so funny in that movie. But yeah, he's just so unsettling and gross in this movie. And thankfully, he meets a very gruesome end by courtesy of the Mariner, after the Mariner sort of sells Helen to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he changes his mind. He realizes it's a mistake, stops it. But yeah, this guy is just so creepy and so unsettling. And yeah. So props to Kim Coates for bringing this terrible, terrible man to life and giving him the ending he deserves.
Yeah, I really like both of the scenes a lot. Just kind of bumping into a stranger, having a little interaction, and then moving on with the story. I like
just builds out the world.
Yeah, the water world, Andrew. That first guy that he bumps into, I do like that they establish. Kevin Costner says, "Two strangers meet, something needs to be exchanged." And he's like, "Yeah, I know the code." And it's like this kind of pirate code. Like if you, I imagine it's pretty rare just bumping into someone else out in the ocean, but if that happens, that you kind of help each other out, you exchange something, you make the most out of it. I thought that was, again, good water world building.
Yeah, good water world building. Well, yeah, because it's one of the kind of pitfalls that these movies can also kind of run into very heavily is you're introduced to this very strange world, but then you never really dive into it. I think we talked about the Purge movies before.
Probably. We've talked about everything, Andrew. I don't know.
But
what's your point here?
The Purge introduces this super interesting concept, and then the first movie is pretty much like solely a home invasion movie.
Right.
And it's this thing where it's like, cool, you've introduced this really kind of interesting, intriguing kind of dystopic concept, but you're almost ignoring it completely to just make what essentially amounts to a home invasion thriller. And so it's like, but show me the world. The world is the much more interesting thing. And thankfully the sequels kind of fix that by kind of creating and expanding and showing what a night in the city during the Purge is like. And Waterworld avoids that pitfall too by kind of like having these small interactions and these things, by kind of building out this world, making it realize that, not everybody's a pirate, but everybody's kind of watching out for themselves. There's still this odd code between people sometimes. People eat limes, which gross. I guess if you don't have any choice though, you're eating limes.
I don't eat the peel. Like, you gotta bite into it or tries to like an apple, but I will eat the hell at the inside of a lime. Really?
All right, maybe it's me. Nah, it's the children who are wrong. But it's anyway. It's a very, very. It's a way to avoid that pitfall, because there's definitely movies where I watch it and I'm just like, you've got this interesting world, but you're not doing anything with it. So with Waterworld, they're at least putting in that effort to make the world feel sailed in. The Waterworld, making it feel sailed in, not lived in. You see what I did there? I said sailed in, not lived in, because
That's good.
Yeah, it's not my best, but anyway. It's definitely an aspect of this that stood out to me as kind of helping it and creating this kind of Waterworld.
I like the underwater segment. He takes Helen underwater to see this drowned city. Apparently is Denver, Colorado, which watching it, I'm like, okay, there's skyscrapers, he's downtown, and then like 2 seconds later, there's like a ski slope and a ski lift. I'm like, how far did he travel? But okay, yeah, Denver, I guess that makes sense. You probably have those two locales pretty close to each other.
Guys, I don't know if you know this, Denver is not close to Mount Everest. Not even close.
Someone's probably done the math, like how long it would have taken him to sail from Denver to Mount Everest.
Fly.
Yeah,
they technically fly. Yeah, I don't know. I was just like, when they established that it's Denver, I was like, that's oddly specific. I
would be terrified to go down in that little bubble, though. Like, he creates that little bubble machine for her, and they go diving like a mile below the surface. Terrifying.
Yeah, no thanks. No thanks.
You know what else is terrifying? When the smokers turn those people into puppets. They kill those people on that little, I guess it's little atoll, and they think that they're drifters that speak Portuguese. But it turned out the smokers killed them all and strung them up on strings to make them look like they're moving, like Home Alone style, like they're in the house.
I was just waiting for a cardboard cutout of Michael Jordan at that point. I was just like,
the mariner looks at him like through his eyeglass. Yeah, nothing seems strange here. It's just dancing Michael Jordan. It's like I expected.
Yeah, why wouldn't there be?
And Jingle Bell Rock. Okay.
I'm not familiar with this song. But yeah, it's yeah. And then when he like looks under the water and sees that all the smokers are kind of waiting there, I was like, that was very well done. Like, because the minute you look at it, it feels off.
Yeah.
Like you know there's something not right there, and then they did the slow reveals, and that works. It's very effective. And man, Dennis Hopper, great villain.
There is and we got to talk about the last final fight here aboard the big tanker. There's 2 things I want to shout out. One is
imagine the smell.
Imagine the smell. The mariner is threatening to blow up the whole boat. He's holding this flare gun above a hole that drops down to where they keep all the oil. And as you said, there's a man that like his job is to sit in a boat on the oil and keep track of how much they've used. And
this is actually a thing, just FYI. Like, it seems weird, but like I work in data centers, and one of the ways we will measure fuel levels is called dipping the tank, where you literally stick a ruler into the bottom of the tank and get a measurement of the inches, and then that translates to volume. And so it's actually like a genuine thing.
Okay, that's All right. When he said this is a thing, I thought you were talking about to have a man in a rowboat floating on the oil.
Yeah,
Like, what?
that is a thing. That's also a thing. I was diving into that. It's been shunned in later, more graceful societies, but like the idea of dipping a tank and tracking it through like inches is a thing, and that was kind of. I was like, hey, I know all about that. I've done that before. I've never sat in a boat in a tank and done it, but I have stuck a ruler in a fuel tank before.
Well, we've seen this guy in a rowboat a couple times, and like he only like sees sunlight unless they open up that hole. So at any rate, the deacon is trying to call his bluff, but the mariner actually drops the flare into the oil. It ignites, and then the coolest shot of the movie, hands down, is this guy in the rowboat looking. It's a shot of his face, and he's looking at this ignite, and you see the reflection in his glasses of the flames rushing towards him and his face lighting up as the fire gets closer. And he says, "Oh, thank God." It then just explodes. It is such a cool shot, such a fun, I don't know if fun's the right word, cool character moment that this guy who had this miserable existence is like, oh, finally, put me out of my damn misery. Let's just blow up. It's great. I love that moment so much. I mean, the atoll attack is my favorite scene, but if I wanted to get real specific, that 3-second shot of the flames rushing towards that guy's face and him saying, "Oh, thank God." Mwah, I love that so much.
Yeah, it was a good moment, and just I always kind of like it too because it's like this kind of acknowledgement because like the deacon has like he has the perception of like a cult like following with his followers, but like also they do point out that it's very strained. Like they're kind of over it. They're kind of over his endless promises. Like the guy, they're kind of over being told, "Hey, it's coming. Hey, we're gonna find it. Hey, we're going this way." And like it's like yeah, we drift aimlessly for a month. It'll be months before anybody figures out we're not going the right place. So to kind of just have moments where the characters are just like have him be just like, thank God. Like, yeah, he hates what he does. It's terrible. It's absolutely miserable, and he's glad to be dead. So it's a wild way, and again, just kind of building out more of the concepts of this world where somebody like an Immortan Joe has people that rise up against him, but largely the people mostly just flock to him because they need him. They see him as necessary for survival, and it's always again interesting ripples to the world. See again, ripples, water.
That's good. Yeah, I'm glad you stopped the podcast and pointed it out. That makes it even better. The deacon's death, also absolutely bonkers. Ilona has fallen off of their blimp thing. She's in the water. The mariner jumps after her with a rope tied around to him. Helen ties the other end of the rope, and it becomes a bungee cord. Sure, why not? He dips down, grabs Ilona, and bounces back up. Meanwhile, the deacon and 2 other goons are all on their jet skis, speeding as fast as they can towards Ilona, all from different directions. But once Ilona gets picked up out of the water, these 3 men crash into each other on the jet skis and explode into a huge fireball. Which one? Okay, I guess these are gas powered. My bad. 2, what was your plan? If Ilona wasn't picked up, wouldn't this have happened anyway? Wouldn't they have all just crashed into the girl and exploded? It's the most, in a movie as ridiculous as Waterworld has been, that still was just so bonkers. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. And this, to be clear, I like this silly tone. I just feel like the movie kind of bounced around between other tones a lot. But whenever it was this over the top, I was like, yeah, this is what a movie called Waterworld should be about. A movie that opens with Kevin Costner drinking his own piss on top of a boat. Yeah, this is how it should end. When the movie was on this wavelength, I was all on board.
Yeah, it was just you're going for it at that point. And this is a movie that when you've got a concept like this, take the swings. And this is the kind of stuff that makes it more interesting. At least to me, yeah.
Ultimately, this movie better than its reception. I'll say that up front. Like, its reception my whole life was that it's an absolute joke. Don't watch it. It's bonkers. There's some fun stuff here. It feels almost made to play on cable television forever. I can imagine flipping through the channels in the 90s. You catch Waterworld halfway through and watch the rest of it. And whoever you're sitting next to, you go, oh, you got to see this. Look at Dennis Hopper in this movie. You're not going to believe this. That's the vibe of this movie. And my take is that it was just too weird of a movie to cost $200 million to make. It was never going to clear that production budget. And, maybe you just shouldn't make a movie on water because it's insanely difficult and hard to make. But if they were able to make this movie for $50 million, $75 million, it would have a totally different reception. It would just be this oddity from the 90s that was a mid-level hit and could have possibly changed Kevin Costner's career because, like I said, this really derails him. He has this, then he has The Postman, which is another notorious flop, and then he's just known as the guy who makes flops, and he's on that train for a pretty long time. What's that serial killer movie he did? Mr. Brooks? I think that flopped too. I mean, he just has.
When you're doing movies with Dane Cook, that's definitely a level where you can't do much there. And it's so wild because the movie got authorized with a budget of $100 million, which still a lot, but like the movie probably would have at least kind of broken even at that point. Yeah. Like you would have been like, all right, we didn't make quite what we thought. But then you got to wonder if like, does the controversy make the movie a bigger success? Like, did more people go see it because of the stories they heard about it? Would more people have seen it without those stories? So it's one of those questions. And so it starts at $100 million and it gets to like 175. This budget almost doubles from what's actually approved to what it ends up being. And that's just insane to me for the movie to end up being so expensive. And you just can't overcome that. You just can't move past that. And at that point, the movie would have had to make like $400 million just to break even, really. Like, that's nuts. That's crazy for a post-apocalyptic kind of sci-fi epic. I guess it's sci-fi. I guess it's science fiction. But you're setting the bar so high for yourself, where I think, we mentioned The Postman. The Postman is a notorious flop, but that one cost $80 million. And so it was like, okay. And I think the damage of Waterworld definitely impacts why that one doesn't do so well. But Kevin Costner goes through like a weird bit of stuff after this, where like you look at his filmography, and it's like, he's not hurting. I'm sure he had a bunch of successes, made all of his money, but he does do Tin Cup the year after this, which pretty good, memory serves. It kind of switches to these kind of smaller kind of character actor type roles where he's basically being cast because it's like, oh yeah, Kevin Costner, the guy who used to be a movie star. Like, it was that kind of thing. And here lately, I've been seeing him get a little bit more presentation. I think Yellowstone is a big part of that. He's the main guy on that show, which it's one of Taylor Sheridan's things. And that is kind of a drama, neo-Western, like a Western in modern times type thing. I tried to watch it, couldn't really get into it, but I know it's very, very popular, and I think that's definitely led to
you are under 55 years old, so I don't know if you're really the target demographic for that.
I'm definitely not. So had a couple of high-profile kind of things, too. He did a movie called Let Him Go, which was just kind of a prestige drama type thing. But he is gearing up for what appears to be a two-part epic Western set in the American Civil War period. Part 1 comes out in June. Part 2 comes out in August. So a rather auspicious release schedule, but the budget on this one was kept pretty modest. I think it's $100 million for both. So he is getting back out there into the kind of the Western sphere and kind of adding into the actual time period, and he's writing and directing this. So I guess don't call it a comeback.
Yeah. We'll see. It looks like a hell of a thing. The man just won't let the Western die. God bless him.
Yeah.
Andrew, that's it. We did it. 150 episodes, 150 poorly received movies that we have revisited and found all the positives. 150, that's like almost 3 full years, and that's kind of insane, brother.
Yeah, it's, when you put it like that, it definitely, who would have thought? Not me.
Who would look at us.
Look at us. Who would have thought? Not me.
But the celebration is not over. we finally tackled Waterworld. I know it's one that's been requested and we've had on our radar for a long time, but we're gonna keep on celebrating this milestone with a guest that has just joined us here in the studio, the sweetheart of podcasting himself, the host of the wonderful 99 Questions, Mr. Bob Buell. Welcome back to the show.
Gentlemen, it's an honor. It's an honor to be back. Thank you so much.
And thank you for dressing up. I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but anytime you come here to host a segment, you, at the very least, have a blazer on. I mean, you are dressed to impress.
Also,
Got the
that hoodie is choice. With
Come on.
Yeah, this time it's a blazer over a Squirtle hoodie, which, Bob Barker, eat your heart out.
Yeah.
He would never.
I'm trying to fill the gap in the game show host market.
Is he dead? Did I just dunk on a dead guy? Did Bob Barker
Yes,
die?
you did.
Okay. Drew Carey, you would never.
Take that, Cleveland.
All right, Bob Barker.
Yes, it's an honor. I've told you guys many times I am a big fan of your show. Always love being on or just listening at home. So anytime I'm here to host a wacky game show segment for any of your anniversary episodes, it's an absolute honor.
Thank you so much. I think the last time you did this was episode 80.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe it's been that long? I mean, that's like almost like the halfway point now at where we are in the podcast. So, too long, my friend. Too long, my friend.
Yeah.
Happy to have you back.
Way too long.
We were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed podcasters back then. Now we're grizzled veterans, and look at us go.
Look at us, old men. Bob, other than, celebrating episode 150, I really have no idea why you're here, or I should say what we're going to do. Because the way this works is I'm like, hey, Bob, we got a big milestone coming up. You want to come spice up our show with some trivia or a game show? And you go, I got just the thing. And then that's the end of our conversation until we're here in the studio talking. So I have no idea what's coming up. I assume some kind of game, movie-related trivia. I don't know. So at this point, I'm just handing over the podcast to you. Here's the keys to the studio. There you go. And take it away. This is your show now.
Keys ASMR.mp3 right there. So yeah, I have created for you guys a little game show in honor of episode 150 here. 3 rounds, 3 different games. That's how I've always done it. Bringing back some returning favorites from my previous appearances here. So let's go into round number 1 with one of my personal favorites that I've dubbed The Cast and the Furious. Now, what I am going to do here is I will read the cast list for a movie that was covered on an episode of this show. So whether it's mainline, whether it's a bonus ep, whether it's an anything, your pool of answers are every movie you two have seen and talked about for this show. I'm going to read the cast list for a movie, starting with the last name featured, and only give the role they played in the movie. So starting from the most obscure, working my way up to more and more relevant into the movie.
So we're not getting
whenever
actor names. We're getting
you are
roles.
not getting actor names. You are getting roles.
Oh, boy.
From most obscure, slowly getting more and more relevant. When you think you know what movie this is, chime in with your name.
Okay.
And see if you can get it.
So we say our own name out loud.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. All right. Let's see. Right here. I think this will become very clear right here. So again, starting with the bottom of the credits, I'm just going to keep reading till you ring in. Pilot. Helicopter pilot.
Oh, no.
Norwegian passenger with rifle.
Chris.
Dang it.
That's gotta be The Thing.
This is the thing.
Only time we've ever talked about Norwegians on this podcast.
I hesitated at helicopter pilot, and that probably swung the momentum, and now I'm going to get shut out.
I do love the discernation between pilot and helicopter pilot. Like, no. You don't have your license, sir. You're just pilot.
Excuse me, that's just a CDL. You don't get to be a
That kind of seems like too many pilots, though, right? Because McCready is a pilot, but he's at the top of the call sheet as McCready. So the Norwegian pilot, who's the other pilot in that?
Well, William Zeman, but that doesn't really help.
Oh,
much.
Williams. Okay, yeah, I remember his face. Yeah,
Of
big
course,
fan
that
of
class.
William Zeman. Yeah.
The Zeman look is what they called it.
Give me 1 second,
All right.
guys. I got to get my cat out of the room. I didn't realize she was in here.
No worries.
Andrew steps away, furiously Googles William Zeman. Doesn't want to feel left out of our conversation.
All right, I'm back. Chris is up like 4-0 now, right?
We did a rapid fire round while you were gone.
Has William Zeman been in? William Zeman has not been in anything other than The Thing. So
Hey,
There
if you're
you
gonna
go.
have one credit, you could do a lot worse than The Thing.
he peaked. He peaked. Okay. Next movie. Mr. Loomis. Bianca. Randy Meeks. Martha Meeks.
Andrew,
Andrew.
Scream 3?
Scream 3. Well
Man.
done.
Can I tell you
So, yeah.
something? You
Yeah.
said that. What was that first name?
Mr.
Loomis.
Loomis.
So I thought, oh, Dexter Loomis. Wait, that's a wrestler. But he's named after characters from movies. He's named after Dr. Loomis from Halloween. Which one did we cover? And then Andrew chimed in, and it's not even. I was barking up the wrong tree. So
There's no way Loomis would be that low on a call sheet in any Halloween movie.
Yeah, you're correct.
My ace in the hole for this one was Jay and Silent Bob that were coming up very shortly on this list. I thought that would be the dead giveaway, but
Yeah,
well done.
they're the Norwegians of it, where we've only covered one movie with Jay and Silent Bob.
Might actually be true now that I think about it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm
All right.
sure there's a Kevin Smith month buried somewhere that I will never allow us to do. So,
Just watch Chasing Amy 4 times. I don't see what the issue is.
aged
The
like
theme would
milk, I'm
be-
sure.
I loved this movie in high school. It was my first time rewatching it, and
I love this movie in high school is all Kevin Smith movies, though. That's the problem.
Correct. Yeah. All right,
Ew.
next movie. Growling Pirate.
Andrew.
Chris. Ooh. That was real close. I think Andrew had it on my side.
Ooh,
All right.
Okay.
I'm taking the swing that it's Hook.
It's his Hook.
Yeah.
Off the jump.
Yeah.
goodness.
Oh, man. I think
We've
that's the only
not
pirate movie.
done. I said we've not done many pirate movies. There's not a lot. of
Well,
options
there's
there.
probably a growling pirate in the Phantom, right? There's pirates at the end of that movie.
That's true. Yeah, the Singh Brotherhood.
But you got it. You got it.
Very
All right.
nice.
Andrew takes the lead.
Currently 2-1. Next movie here. Okay. White House photographer. White House waiter. Hippie.
Andrew.
Chris. God.
I think that was Andrew.
Oh,
Mars Attacks.
That's Mars
man.
Attacks.
That's not even what I was going to guess, though, so I can't be too mad.
One of my absolute favorites that you've covered on the show, by the way. Love this movie. Love this movie.
What were you going with, Chris?
I was thinking of Wonder Woman 1984. There was a big White House fight there.
That's
think it's
true.
the White House.
Yeah.
At what point was there Martian translator? Was that coming up on your call sheet, Bob?
Translator. We got Texan investor, incredibly old guy, which is good. I'm not
The
seeing-
Roger L. Jackson disrespect is palpable.
Yeah, the voice of Ghostface himself is the translator in that, but I guess he didn't even make the credits.
To be known, I am not counting the uncredited list here. I am
it's
counting
probably
purely
uncredited,
credit.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Oh, man, I'm falling behind.
3-1 here. All right, next movie. Post pre-carnival number 1. Detective in bathroom. Sympathetic guard. San Quentin guard. San Quentin commander. Ravenscroft orderly.
Andrew.
Chris. God bless the universe.
Andrew.
Gonna go with Venom 2, basically.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. Venom, let there be carnage.
Whatever it's called.
Correct.
You know what? I was going to be wrong again anyway. It's fine.
Were you gonna say Venom?
I was going to say Amazing Spider-Man 2 because they do go to Ravencroft there, but they don't do those other prisons, so.
And
God,
San Quentin. San Quentin was the San Quentin plus Ravenscroft. That was the.
Ooh. 4-1. Andrew dominating so far. All right. The next movie. Helicopter pilot.
Wait a minute.
Geeky kid. Sleeping man. Streetwalker number 2. Streetwalker number 1. Little girl in toy store. Sergeant in toy store. Cab driver. Limo driver. Airport van driver.
Andrew. Going Home Alone 2.
Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Correct. There was a certain former president later on this list that I'm just going to skip right over. Yeah, this was...
The sergeant in Toy Store definitely threw me. I was like, what? Like,
I don't remember him being in that at all, quite honestly.
Yeah, so Toy Store was making me think Home Alone 2, but Sergeant in a toy store, I mean, it was really losing me.
Yeah, stuff past that was like Cop in Times Square, Plaza Marketing Director.
Yeah, those would have been a little bit more.
Peter lookalike. That's a good one. 5-1. Technically, you need 6 to win, so we are on the to win this round. To win this round,
Right.
let it be known. All right, next movie. Angela Lansbury.
Andrew. It's Glass Onion.
Glass Onion. Correct.
What is going on?
Last in the credits is Angela Lansbury as Angela Lansbury on the laptop at the beginning.
Yep.
Very nice.
Does it go through all
Very
4 of
nice.
them?
Yes,
Natasha Lyonne.
Kareem
They're all
Abdul-Jabbar and Steven
Yep.
Sondheim.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all at different places in there. But
So weird. They're not all grouped together. They're all in the movie the exact same amount of time.
Listen, I guess Lansbury doesn't have his ironclad a contract. Who knows? Andrew.
Last role during her, or it might have been her last role. Period.
Oh. Well, Andrew, you're taking the round here, but just for funsies, I had 3 more here, and I do want to go through them because I think they're super fun.
That's
Sure.
right. These are points for pride from me right now.
All right. So this one, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them listed with the same title, and then I'm only going to say them once. So bottom of the list, Cockroach. Mouse Band.
Chris.
Mouse.
That's
Chris?
cats.
That's cats. That's cats.
8 cockroaches and a mouse band. That could only be one thing.
Cockroaches had me thinking it might be Men in Black.
Men in
too,
Black.
but
Yeah.
yeah, the mouse band. I was like, ooh, that's a little tough.
What a weird movie. Remember we watched that, Andrew? Remember we watched Cats?
No, actually, I don't. That's why I didn't.
Hell of a thing, that movie.
All right. Next couple, just for funsies here. Again, there are about a dozen people just listed as dancer, then creatures, henchman number 2, henchman number 1, cavern henchman, autograph seeker, co-ed hottie, spooky hotel bartender.
Oh, Andrew.
Andrew?
Scooby-Doo?
Scooby-Doo.
Man, that was not on my
Correct.
radar. Good job.
Janice McGavin as co-ed hottie. Bravo, Janice.
Well, like, the cavern plus the dance, like at one point I was like, oh, maybe it's the Phantom, but like there's no dancers in the Phantom when we were going cavern. I was like, I have no idea what this is. But once we got to the Utes, I was like, all right, yeah, Scooby-Doo.
You know what makes this game hard? It's
Mm.
episode 150. We've done over 150 movies.
Chris,
This is
I don't know if
crazy.
you've noticed this. This isn't hard at all. So
Oh, okay. All right, big guy. All right.
All right, last one for funsies, then we'll move on to round 2. Executive in boardroom. Man in Mercedes.
Mercedes?
Hmm?
Not Mercedes, Mercedes.
Chris,
Mhm. Chris?
the Flintstones?
The Flintstones.
It's
Correct.
the pun. It's the pun.
I just want to clarify for official records, that was 6-1, correct?
The final score when decided at whistle time, as they say, 6-1.
I mean, I think even if we count the bonuses, it's like 8-2. So either way, it's not looking good for me so far.
That's round 1. Well done, gentlemen. Andrew, taking that one. Round 2 here. Going to be a little game that I call Top Comment. Top Comment. So what I have done is picked, again, 10 movies that you guys have covered on your show here. I have found either the film itself or the trailer, depending on the situation, for those movies on YouTube.com. This little niche website I found. And went to the comment section. Took a screenshot of the top, I don't know, dozen or so most popular comments for, again, that movie or that trailer. I'm going to read these comments to you. Once you think you know what movie they're talking about, ring in with your name.
Got it.
Got it?
Yep.
All right. This is where the glasses are going to be coming into play, because these screenshots are a little small. Okay. Here we go. Comment reads, just heard about this movie exactly 15 years after it came out. Weird coincidence. This movie was actually good. It scared me. They say that something like this could really happen. The trailer was actually nicely cut. It had tension, anxiety, and made you wonder what the heck was going on. Quote, we will fail
Andrew.
to... Oh, Andrew?
The Happening?
The Happening! Well
Oh,
done!
Man. Something like this could actually happen? What? Come on.
A lot of people saying coronavirus brought me here. I don't know if they know what that is, but not what happened in that movie.
And just to clarify, all of these are different movies from the previous round, right? Or will there potential... Oh, okay. All right.
Bob is shrugging.
Bob is shrugging.
I give a shrug. I give an audio shrug. My favorite comment here, obviously would give it away a little bit, so I was saving it, was laughed as soon as I saw Wahlberg as a teacher. Good.
Hey, you guys hear about this thing with bees? They're all dying and no one knows why?
You seen this? You heard about this? Oh.
Too good.
Yeah. Marky Mark. I would say never change, but maybe change a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. Okay. Next movie. Sorry, this is just a really good comment. This one isn't underrated masterpiece.
Isn't?
Isn't.
Okay.
It's all right. I should have gave this in a little preamble. If there are words that are super obvious and just giving it away, I'm going to blank them out. Just going to say blank.
Sure.
So, should have gave that in a little
So
preamble.
you would have said, I laughed as soon as I saw Blanky Blank was a science teacher?
yeah. Blanky
Blanky blank.
It's funny because this is the only time Blank had to use keys to open a door. One of the greater Blank films of the 90s. Must have been dope to be an adult or teen back then. This is directed by Steve Miner.
Oh.
Parents be like, oh, it's just
Andrew.
sibling. Andrew?
Halloween H2O.
Correct.
God. Man.
I was tempted to make you say the full title, Halloween H2O 20 years later, which is so redundant, but
so
yes.
stupid.
Excellently
man.
done.
Steve
Yeah.
I guess
Miner.
I guess Michael Myers. I guess Michael Myers opens the door with keys in that movie.
Apparently? I don't remember that, but
I think there's like an iron gate that he's reaching through and he grabs the keys, and I vaguely remember that. But Steve Miner, I was like, I know that name. Like, there's too many files in my brain. I'm like, these movies we've covered. Steve Miner. Oh, boy. Oh, man.
again, my favorite comment here would just be, Josh Hartnett will forever be my favorite. All caps.
We're in the Hartnett-essence, folks. It's happening.
The Hartnett-essence. It rolls right off the tongue. Okay. Next movie. Andrew, you got 2-0 on this round as well here.
Is this another to 10?
This is to 10. Correct.
Okay.
So 6 points will win it here.
4 more for the blank. Got it.
Next movie. I forgot how much this was my childhood.
That narrows it down.
Possibly the most underrated kids movie of all time.
Whoa.
Big words.
Big words. And no one on the internet would lie or exaggerate. That's definitely for sure.
Not in YouTube comments. Not in the
No
YouTube
way.
comments, Andrew. Come on.
No.
Back when trailers didn't show you the whole film. Ha ha.
The ha-ha really makes that comment.
Yeah. Haha. It's like when
I
you put
can't-
haha at the end of every text so people don't take you seriously.
One of the best of the 90s. Who else came here after that voiceover guy? I can't believe after 25 years later, we are bringing it back.
After 25 years later.
Props to whoever pitched this movie and got someone to sign off on it. The plot is like a weird fever dream.
I'm going to roll the dice. Andrew.
Andrew.
Super Mario Brothers.
Incorrect. I'm sorry. Despite the negative reviews from Rotten Tomatoes, this film was a box office success and became a highest grossing basketball film of all time.
Hell.
Seriously, who doesn't love blank and blank working together?
Basketball?
Chris.
Space Jam.
Jesus.
Space Jam.
That took me too long. Okay.
My
Space
God, man.
Jam. Everybody get up. It's time to jam now.
Well, I totally earned that point.
There goes the shout.
Best comment on this one is from Zebman74, who just goes, in order to prepare for his role in Space Jam, actor Michael Jordan played 9 seasons of professional basketball and won 3 national championships.
That's pretty
Good
good.
comment. Good
That's
comment.
pretty good.
All right, 2-1. Don't call it a comeback here. Next movie. This film basically plays out in style and writing as a live-action anime. I love it so much.
Chris,
Chris.
Speed Racer.
Wow, correct.
If there was ever a live action anime, it is Speed Racer.
From one comment. Very well done.
Thank you. Think any gold in that comment section?
A lot of hyperbole. Like, the most underrated and overlooked film of all time. One of
It's
the
got
most
some-
criminally underrated movies I've seen in my life.
It's got some defenders. If they ever do a 4K of that, I will probably have to buy it just to see those visuals. It is crazy.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Out of all the movies that have ever existed, this is the one that needs a 4K HDR re-release because it's so beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
We agree with @TwistedJosh14. Thank you,
Twisted.
Josh.
He's not a normal Josh.
Mm-mm. Don't even think about he's the normal Josh. All right, 2-2. Next movie. A painfully overlooked movie. Exceptional cinematography.
So many of these comments apply to it's like a bread and
Everything.
butter. Overlooked, underrated. This is my childhood. That's what we talk about.
Oh, yeah. Such an underrated film.
God dang it.
The cinema will never be the same. I'm trying to find one that won't just give it away. Here you go. I need to watch this movie again. Last time I saw it, it was in the 90s. The colors, the characters, there really isn't another movie quite like this. Camp at its highest and most coherent. Happy 30th anniversary, blank. Watching this trailer as a 38-year-old, racking my brain to recall whether I saw it in 1990 or not. Sometimes I feel like time has advanced at light speed. Other times I marvel at how freaking long ago 1990 and the fact that I was involved.
I was involved in 1990. What?
I mean, if he means he was alive, then yeah, I guess so. But that seems.
Yeah, we had a
odd.
thing for about a year.
I'm reading these things as written, you know. Just realized I like blank for the same reasons I like Batman. Both of them have incredibly interesting villains.
Chris. Another movie that desperately needs a 4K, Dick Tracy.
Dick Tracy. Well done.
Yeah,
well
colorful
done.
cinematography, campy.
Yeah,
They gave us the
yeah.
exact year. It still took me a while, but yeah, that movie rules.
Yeah. Madonna's finest, I dare say. Hot take.
No love for Swept Away, huh? Okay.
Famous swept away hater.
I'm more of a
Famous
Cher guy myself, you know.
All right, 3-2.
Academy Award winner Cher, Andrew. Put some respect on the name.
Why do you think I said that?
3-2 here. Chris in the lead. Next movie. This movie unironically contributed to my childhood character development.
Again, that just narrows it down so much.
This movie is so underrated.
Mhm.
Oh god! I mean,
love this guy.
can we just bundle all the underrated comments into one?
But you gotta know it's underrated. Or at least that at Derek Boldine 360 thinks so.
Hold on, let me Google him real quick.
No,
My my dream is that we
I-
play this game on a future episode, and one of the comments says #PP. So
Ooh.
make it happen, listeners.
I bet I would go to his profile and he would have written that on like 80 different trailers. Like he just thinks everything's underrated.
He's just a bot. He's just a bot leaving that on every trailer.
Or he just unironically enjoys things people don't like. Which, you know what? If you're out there and listening, good for you. Bring yourself
Yeah.
happiness.
Hey, wait a minute. The same guy left another comment on this same video a year later. Derek Bodine 360 said, "This movie is so underrated. I enjoy it every time I watch it." But a year different.
So he said the same thing twice.
If people have to know.
That's amazing. The Blank is one of my many top favorite Disney movies of all time, and I love it so much.
Chris. Disney, underrated. Is this The Black Cauldron?
This is The Black Cauldron. Actual top comment on that one is, this is a Disney movie that actually deserves a live action remake.
No, it does not.
Interesting.
It is a decent Legend of Zelda movie. That's my hot take on that.
4-2. Chris in the lead here in round 2. All right, next movie. I'm watching this film in my 40s.
Could be true of
People
anything.
in the 40s watch this movie. What could it be?
This is one of my favorite Christmas movies.
Oh, we're narrowing it down.
I mean, we've done like 2 months of this.
This movie is an underrated Christmas classic. You know what I mean? Great watching this again. Coming up to the holiday season, it sets the mood in a rather fun and cheery tone. Merry Xmas. Haven't seen it in years, and it's just as funny and heartfelt as I remember it too. Rest in peace, Blank.
Andrew. I'm taking a swing. Jingle All the Way.
Not Jingle All the Way.
But it does
I
have a
thought Phil-
dead guy.
I was going to say,
good
Phil
job.
Hartman, I thought was the clincher on that one.
Okay.
Let's see here.
My logic was sound, folks. I'm clearly losing this round. I want you to know that I had good reasons for picking everything I picked.
At 9 minutes and 59 seconds, it's funny how he just casually drives in reverse on a freeway and tells Santa the rules of safety. Laughing emoji.
Chris. Would this be Ernest Saves Christmas?
This is Ernest Saves Christmas. Well done.
Hey, Andrew, what song does he sing in Ernest Saves Christmas?
Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree. Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree. Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree. Oh, Christmas tree. Yeah, I could go on forever.
That's my new favorite way to sing Christmas songs.
Jim Varney, the legend.
The GOAT. Maybe not the GOAT, but he was pretty good.
5
Jim
to
Varney
2.
walked so Jim Carrey could run. That was my big takeaway from that episode.
You know what? I think you're right. I like that take. All right, next movie, possibly for the round for Chris here, 5-2. Again, 6
Hey, can I
will win
take
you
that?
the round.
Can I take that hot take again? I Jim Varney. You know what I mean, Vern? So Jim Carrey could alrighty then.
Eh.
Is that better? Is that funnier? All right.
Put it on a t-shirt. Put that on a t-shirt. Get shut down by 2 different actors' estates. All right, next movie here. The movie was only made to provide footage for this trailer, LMAO. This trailer is the best thing about the movie, all thanks to the song. Blank looks so old. I remember him looking like 25. Now he looks like 30.
What?
What?
Whoever wrote this arrangement of White Rabbit for orchestra did an amazing job. It puts beauty and fullness to a great song. I hated the movie, but I still come back here every week or so. The push and pull of it, rhythmically, just amazing. By the time Blank screams, I'm in tears every time.
I do love the concept of a really good trailer for a not great movie. I don't know what this is.
God.
Every
Also,
now and-
imagine looking 30. I would never.
Oh, Andrew.
Andrew.
I'm going with Matrix 4.
Do you have...
Say the proper name, Andrew.
Matrix Resurrections.
Correct. Okay. Listen. I lose track of the Matrix subtitles, if I'm being honest with you here. I
They
couldn't
all start with an
remember
R.
Yeah.
R-E?
It's like, this is 4, right? Not 3? Yes, this is Matrix Resurrections.
Okay, that 25 to 30 comment's pretty funny now.
That is...
Yeah, it was the White Rabbit. I was like, White Rabbit has to be a Matrix thing. Like, it has to be. And then the 25 to 30, I was like, that's Keanu.
Is that the name of that song, White Rabbit?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jefferson Airplane song.
Yeah.
They probably did a redo of it.
I don't remember that trailer at all. It does not mean to me what it means to these people, apparently.
I do
so.
remember the trailer. Because it
I
tells
love
you nothing. Like, you see like Keanu like in a bathtub with a rubber duck on his head. And it ends with the new Mr. Smith going back to the Matrix. And it's like, what is this movie going to be? Yeah, all right. All those comments check out to me. I get it. Good job, Andrew.
I like this one from Red Pocket 99. Trinity, where have you been all these years? Neo, long story. Someone killed my dog. Because it's a different movie he did, you know?
Same actor.
All right.
Yes, folks. Keanu Reeves has done other movies.
5-3 here. Next movie. This movie is so phenomenal.
Oh my God.
I can't even count the amount of times I watch it, and every time I do, I think it is a way of artistically exercising an important muscle of my being that I need to keep strong and
Chris.
alive. Chris.
Look, I'm taking a big swing here. Cloud Atlas.
Wow, correct. Cloud Atlas.
Yes.
Nerds.
For the round.
Absolute dorks.
Listen, that is a very hyperbolic comment, but I kind of agree. That is a movie I want to watch over and over again.
Yeah. All the other comments basically mirror this, like a masterpiece, I'm obsessed, favorite movie of all time, favorite book, favorite movie, like, yeah, people are gaga about Cloud Atlas.
Genuinely very underrated, and, say it again, really needs a 4K.
Very nice. All right, you know what? We got one more just as a palate cleanser. Let's finish off this one more. But Chris, you take the round 6-3.
Yes.
So we're gonna go into this this final round here. But before we do, let's just play one more of these because I grabbed a screenshot, so why not use it? Last movie here for funsies. Underrated. Love this movie.
The obligatory first comment. Got it.
Mm-hmm. Best movie I saw in my entire life.
Is this person dead?
Oh my God, Chris. Killed me on that one. Absolutely killed me on that one.
Best movie I ever saw. Never got better than this.
Oh God, I'm sorry. I probably woke Liz up with that. Oh my.
A true action-packed film. Flame emoji, flame emoji, flame emoji.
Are those flame emojis helpful, Bob? Are they thematic?
They're not helpful. Okay.
They're not helpful. Yeah.
See, we haven't covered Backdraft.
Did you?
And we never will because Backdraft rules.
Backdraft rules. I had a friend of
I mean,
mine
yeah,
just become a
fair.
firefighter, and I got her a Blu-ray of Backdraft as the gift when she passed
I can't
her
tell
training
if that's
class.
a good gift or the worst gift imaginable, Bob. What
As
the
long
hell?
as long as your parents weren't also firefighters, you are fine.
Just gotta watch out for those backdrafts. Did you see how he turned the helicopter? LOL, one of my favorite movies. Ra's al Ghul and Rocket finally met together.
Oh, Chris, A-Team.
It's
Yeah.
A-Team.
Yeah.
It's A-Team. People love the A-Team in the comments here, apparently. I'm waiting for part 2 of the A-Team. A lot of people want a sequel to the A-Team.
You are going to be waiting for a very, very long time. There's a funny story. I don't know. Did I tell the story on the episode about how Bill Clinton asked Bradley Cooper about the A-Team one time?
Yeah, that was his point of reference for him.
And he asked him if there was going to be a sequel, and Bradley Cooper thought he was making fun of him for how badly it did. But no, Bill Clinton actually wanted to be in an A-Team sequel. And so, yeah, apparently former president of the United States, Bill Clinton, is with all of you guys. So maybe think about your life choices.
I tell you what movie I liked of yours when you were in that tank. I got a little southern in my Bill Clinton, but you get the idea.
I mean, Bill Clinton is Southern, so
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Well then, good job, me.
Chris picked up a
there was a
saxophone as he did it.
little bit of Forrest Gump creeping in there, but not too bad.
I love when a plan comes together.
The A-Team, but it's all former presidents.
It's all.
This was already done on SNL. This is just the ex-president skit on it
Yeah,
on
yeah.
SNL. Yeah. All right. Well, Andrew took round 1. Chris took round 2. We got to settle things in round 3.
Uh-oh.
Baby got back.
Uh-oh.
I will be reading the back of the DVD box of movies that you two have covered on
A
your
classic
show.
Classic game.
I am going to read the description on the back of the box, blanking out certain words that will give it away immediately. When you think you know it, chime in with your name.
The first line. This movie is so underrated.
I'm
Widely considered underrated for its time.
I'm starting with my favorite one. I'm gonna throw that one out there right now. One of the most compelling and conflicted characters in blank arrives as Oscar winner blank transforms into the enigmatic anti-hero blank. Dangerously. Andrew.
The Shadow?
Not the Shadow. Incorrect.
I think I know, but I want to hear a little more.
Dangerously ill with a rare blood disorder.
Yeah.
Determined
Oh,
to
yeah.
save others suffering his same fate.
I want to hear the whole thing. Keep reading.
No, don't
Dr. Blank.
do this. Chris, do not do this to me. Chris, I'm begging you to stop. No, I will
Attempts
keep
a
speaking over Bob
desperate
talking.
gamble.
I do not want you to do this. Please stop right
Chris,
now. Don't
Well,
draw
at
this out.
first, Chris,
This is the one and only Morbius.
this is Morbius. You know Morbius, one of the most compelling and conflicted characters in Sony Pictures' Marvel Universe.
Definitely an anti-hero. That's how
Friggin'
I
heck.
the character.
Jesus.
Oh boy.
Oh, Jared Leto. Oh, Jared Leto. Morbius is correct, Chris. 1-0 so far. Next film. This one starts with a couple of pull quotes, which I always love. Exhilarating, says the San Francisco Chronicle. And blank rocks. A high-energy thriller that never lets go, says Elmore Leonard. Blank, blank, and blank star in an offbeat, action-packed crime thriller from director blank. After... So this movie was directed, spoiler alert.
Has at least 3 people in it.
After 6 years in jail and just 1 week before Christmas. Blank.
Andrew.
Chris.
I'm pretty sure that was Andrew.
Oh.
That's Reindeer Games.
That's Reindeer Games. That's Reindeer Games.
Ben Affleck, Charlize Theron, and who's the third person you had to blink out?
They gave it Gary Sinise.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Of course.
Yeah. It's not Danny Trejo, that's for sure.
Very nice. Reindeer Games. All right. Next film. Nearly 5,000 years after he was bestowed with the almighty powers of the Egyptian god.
Andrew. Black Adam.
You almost sound disappointed, but that is correct.
They're Egyptian?
Yes, they are.
Huh. I was thinking the same thing. I don't remember it being Egyptian.
Black Adam is Egyptian gods. Shazam is the Greek pantheon.
Okay, fair enough.
There you go.
You know what? It's
They
a movie
all-
I didn't hate. I'll say it. I didn't hate it. Put that on your back of your box. Chris didn't hate it.
You can put this on the back of the box. Andrew doesn't like it. So now it's just pointless.
Andrew doesn't like it. Hashtag PP.
Hashtag PP.
It is strange. The only website they promote on the back of this is facebook.com/Black Adam movie. I don't know why that really strikes me, but all right, sure.
We're not going to buy a domain for this movie.
That would cost us, what? Maybe $100. You kidding me?
Bob.
I'm opening up
Bob.
an incognito tab and seeing if Black Adam goes to anything questionable.
Bob, do you know what happens when someone fires a missile at The Rock?
I pray to never find out.
He just throws it right Black Adam.
Folks, we've reached the end. I want to thank Bob for his time. I want to thank you all for listening.
Hold
but,
on,
I'll never
um,
tell a better
let me-
joke. So I guess
Let me grab the score real quick.
Just crunch that up. Yes. ASMR paper crunch. Apparently the domain blackadam.com is on sale now for $3,295. So even
They
Warner
were
Brothers,
willing to pay $3,000.
We'll split it
even
three
Warner
ways.
Brothers was like, it's a bit steep, isn't it?
Facebook's free.
Free.
Hey, we could start a payment plan and only pay $137.29 for 24 months.
No.
I'm good. I'm real good.
Oh, God.
How funny would it be though if blackadam.com just went to like the Best of the Rest podcast website? Like that was just our. And find our website, blackadam.com.
You should find, like, what's the worst, most obscure movie you've covered on here and see if the URL is available. That would be fun.
The Spirit, but that's probably generic enough that it's not. Fant Four Stick. There's no way they kept up with that website, right?
Oh, right.
FANT4STIC.
Fan Four Stick.
Yeah, marketing genius came up with that one.
All right. Well, 2-1 so far. Andrew in the lead. Next movie. If you think Special Government Agent blank is fast with a 6-shooter, wait till he lays a quip on you. Mega hit star blank plays blank. Reuniting with
Chris. I immediately regret chiming in. I don't know. Jonah Hex.
Not Jonah Hex. I'm sorry. Reuniting with blank director blank in an effects-loaded shoot from the lip spectacular. Blank plays fellow agent and crackerjack inventor blank teamed with blank on a daring assignment. Stop Legolas
Andrew.
blank.
Yeah.
Andrew.
It's Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
I thought
Teaming
it was.
with Men in Black director, right?
I thought it was
Correct.
R.I.P.D. for a moment. Like,
That's what I thought.
I thought that's what we were leaning towards, but
The
no,
six
okay.
shooter made me think that, and then when
Yeah.
it said re-teaming with a director, I knew it wasn't. So I just,
Yeah.
all right, fair enough. That's how the
I-
game is played.
I can't get away without reading the last line of this. And all manner of geared up 1860s gadgets, from belt-buckle derringers to surprise-packed billiard balls to a walking 8-story steam and steel tarantula, help make Wild Wild West a wow wow west.
What?
That's the text that was agreed upon, folks, next to the worst stock photo of Selma Hayek you've ever seen. Not even from the film, just her like in front of a green screen.
I love the idea of someone having never seen this movie, like reading the book. It sounds okay, and wait a minute, surprise packed billiard balls. Gotta see this. What?
Sold. Oh, God.
Friggin' heck.
All right, that is 3-1. Andrew in the lead here for our tie-breaking round. Next film. You've never seen blank like this. Blank.
Really? Never?
Never. It's the most underrated film. No. Blank is a hilarious animated holiday fable that's also a musical.
Andrew.
Andrew?
8 Crazy Nights?
8 Crazy
God.
Nights.
I've never seen
Chris.
Adam Sandler like that before.
I'll say, Chris, I can't believe you let me have that. Like, that's your movie.
I was. Hang on. I don't know if I want that title. That is my movie. But yeah, animated holiday classic. I was like, oh, this should be served up on a silver platter, but you got there before me.
Nicely done. 4-1 here.
Shaving the chest.
Shut up.
It's my whitey.
Shut up.
I had an English teacher in high school who looked exactly like Whitey from 8 Crazy Nights. She was this old lady.
I was a woman.
Yes.
Poor thing.
She looked exactly the same.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
All right. Next film. 2 more pull quotes. I love the pull quotes. From ABC TV Los Angeles. This comedy gets an A. And from the San Francisco Chronicle. You can't help but cheer.
I bet you I can.
Screen favorite blank stars in blank. The hilarious comedy that made moviegoers stand up and cheer.
Okay.
A lot of cheering, apparently.
So much. Tough trial lawyer blank.
Andrew.
Andrew.
Mighty Ducks?
Mighty Ducks.
God bless the universe.
Well done. Screen favorite Emilio Estevez.
Screen favorite. What a weird way to phrase that.
Yeah.
All the cheering was make me maybe be like, all right, there's something like, yeah. Once you said trial lawyer, I was like, yeah, this is Mighty Ducks. It's a sports. It's a sports movie. I love. There's this video that I love. My friend sends it to me every once in a while that talks about. They mentioned that Gordon scored like 160 goals that season, which your standard season of Pee Wee hockey is like 30 games. So that means he's scoring like 5 times a game. He's scoring legitimately almost every time he's on the ice. And then he misses that one shot that doesn't even lose them the game. They then go to overtime and they don't win in overtime, which guess means the coach didn't put him in. And this one missed shot is all it takes for Gordon
Shatter.
Bombay who is literally scoring 6 times a game as a peewee to never touch hockey again. While his jerk of a it's like that coach doesn't matter. He's literally going to stay coaching this exact same team for the next 25 years. He has no life. He's going nowhere. But when they parse it out, I'm just like, my God, this is ridiculous.
In the career path, they'd be like, well, I missed that shot. Guess I'll be a lawyer? Ugh.
Yes.
I'm clearly not cut out for this.
Yeah, let me just dedicate 10 years to law school real quick. All right. This is 5-1. This is potential game point here for Andrew.
Potential greatest comeback of all time, though.
This could be Rudy-esque.
Is there a tiebreaker?
Oh, I've got tiebreakers.
Good, you won't need them.
All right.
Calling my shot. That's what I'm doing. I'm calling my shot. I'm calling my shot that Chris will not get 4 in a row. Let me clarify this.
All right. Next movie. A crash landing leaves blank and his legendary father,
Chris.
with immediate
Legendary
regret.
father totally threw me off. Crash landing leaves blank and his legendary father. I don't know. I was going to say Green Lantern. Crash landing, but
Incorrect.
I know.
Crash
Well,
landing.
Andrew, it was fun.
I'm gonna take a swing on guessing what this is, also based off no further information.
Okay.
Okay.
This is After Earth.
This for the game is
Ah,
After Earth. Well done. A crash landing leaves Katai Rage and his father, Cypher, stranded on Earth. Of course. We all remember that movie.
Well, I was genuinely kind of confused because I was like, his legendary father threw me because I was like, are they saying that like his legendary father Will Smith? Or like I was like, that seems like a weird way to put that. But then I was like, no, his dad in the movie is like genuinely like a legendary
Kind
person
of
in that thing.
both,
So, yeah.
you
So I was
know?
like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
So
the
I had to
legend
flex. I had to
Cypher
flex
Rage.
there and take no additional information to get that win. I had to make sure my dominance was established firmly.
That's fair.
Wow. Andrew taking it in round 1. Chris taking round 2. And Andrew taking round 3. Bravo, gentlemen. Bravo.
If one of us won a round, we only won it big. Like we refused. So like
Seriously.
no neck and neck races here.
But I love that you got the drama of one round going one way, another round going another way. So we got to settle it in round 3. Like every good 2 out of 3 falls match, it always has to go to a third fall.
Yeah. We've always needed all 3 games. I think it's the 3rd time you've done this on our show.
Correct.
And I think it's the first time Andrew has won. But it's always come down to all 3 games. So appreciate that.
Chris, what do you think I spent the last week doing? I know Bob does games based off our entire repertoire, so I rewatched every single one. I haven't slept in 19 days, Chris.
Clearly you weren't reading YouTube comments, though. That was your downfall.
Made the mistake of watching the actual movies. My mistake.
You did not watch After Earth again, Andrew.
You are right. I did not.
All right, we want to finish off these last questions, Bob, for fun?
Yeah, let's do some fun.
For funsies. I only got 3 more of them here. And I like one of them I'll even do with absolutely no blanks because I think even without the blanks, it's still tricky to remember which one it is. Okay. Next up. Director blank takes us back to the scene of blank in blank. The blockbuster sequel with even more dinosaurs, action.
Chris.
Oh, Andrew, yeah.
Jurassic World.
Oh,
It's one of them, right?
Chris,
Okay.
it's the Lost World Jurassic Park.
Lost World, in fact. Yes.
Oh yeah, Steven Spielberg takes. Okay, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Lost Park, Jurassic World.
Lost. Lost Park, Lost
Did you
World,
guys did you guys see that I think it's Gareth Edwards is making a Jurassic World movie? Like the guy who made Rogue One and the creator is making a Jurassic World movie now. Like
Oh.
I thought
Wild.
we were done with that.
we'll never be done.
Oh, okay, fine.
The Jurassic
But like
World
a genuine
cinematic
a
universe.
genuine sort of like, you know, I wouldn't call him an auteur necessarily, but like a guy that's kind of like notorious for his control and meticulous nature. Jumping
Yeah.
in and making a Jurassic World movie is a heck of a thing.
Like a
Massive-
true like sequel, like Chris Pratt.
I don't know.
and
They're just
Bryce Dallas Howard?
saying it's a Jurassic World movie. They're not saying anything else at this point. So I hope not. I kind of hope we do a different thing. I don't
like-
need us to go back.
Tell a smaller tale in that world, like with dinosaurs floating around. I think that would be fun. But
I think they should go to Mars
mm,
and do Martian dinosaurs. Because why not?
Why not? Why not?
bring
If
in
it's
our
cool, who
friends,
gives
the
a sh-
Transformers.
If it don't make it ridiculous, Bob.
That's right. The last movie only set up like clone children, dinosaurs.
Oh my god, dinosaur bugs! Like
Oh,
I
the
got
locusts.
Jurassic World Dominion.
Oh
I
my
got
God.
like 80 minutes into that movie, and I'm like, I've only seen bugs. Where are the dinosaurs?
All right.
Anyway,
Next movie here. I picked this one mainly for these first two words because I think they make me chuckle. Horror Meister blank teams blank's outstanding performance with incredible visuals to build this chilling version of the classic blank. In the winter
Is it Horror Meister Rob Zombie?
is not Horror Meister Rob Zombie.
That's how I always call him. So
The Horror Meister.
the horror
funny.
Meister horror.
In the winter of 1982, a 12-man research team at a remote...
Oh, this is the thing.
This is the thing. This was my curveball.
look at that.
This
Bringing
was
it
my
back.
curveball.
This was the shrug.
Mm,
This was the shrug.
mm. Horror Meister John Carpenter.
God, let's please never call him that again.
So funny.
The Meister just makes it sound like he's a child up to no good. Like, you
Oh,
little
Horror
horror Meister. Can't believe you snuck into my yard again. Macaroni ears, Jesus.
All right.
It sounds like Mike Tyson's trying to call him a horror master.
Oh no. Oh no. Don't get us canceled, Chris.
Okay, Jay Leno. Can I make fun of Jay Leno? Jay Leno
yeah.
trying to call him the horror master.
All right, there you go.
We can make
See
that.
this guy? You heard about this guy?
The horror master? Huh?
Heard of this guy?
You
seen this? You heard about
the
this?
thing, huh? Yeah.
Came from New York. You heard of this thing?
Seen this? You heard about this?
All right, last one here. And again,
Why is it okay to make fun of Jay Leno but not Mike Tyson? Like Mike Tyson's done some bad stuff, guys. Like I think it's okay to make fun of Mike Tyson.
Jay Leno's
Doesn't he
also
genuinely
done some
have?
bad
Doesn't
stuff.
Mike Tyson genuinely have like a speech impediment though?
Okay, so it's the fact that I'm making fun of his voice. That's
Yes.
because he can't control that. Okay,
Yeah.
Hey, fair enough. But Jay Leno just talks funny.
Jay Leno's just a prick.
So it's
Like
like-
we don't like Jay Leno. I mean, Mike Tyson is also terrible, but you're not
I'm just trying to
specifically
find what
calling
the line
out.
is here.
The line is Jay Leno does not have a genuine speech impediment that is causing him to sound that way.
He is choosing to sound like that. So it's open season.
I mean, I don't talk about Mike Tyson either for a variety of reasons. This is why I wouldn't have gone and made that reference, Chris.
All right, last box here. And this one, I am only blanking out one thing, and it's the actor name. Otherwise, we're going blankless here because I think even without the blanks, it still is up to like 5 different options here. Blu-ray was made for Bond. James Bond pulls out all the stops to take you on an unforgettable, adrenaline-pumping ride across the globe in this action-filled adventure from a dark cell in a North Korean prison to the beautiful beaches.
Yeah.
Chris?
It's the Pierce Brosnan one that we covered.
Which was?
The one we have an episode about, Bob, which is... it's the one that was like an
Matrix
anniversary.
Resurrections. That's right.
Yeah.
Can I
Hang on,
steal?
I got it. Is it Tomorrow Never Dies?
No.
Not Tomorrow Never Dies. Andrew for the steal?
It's Die Another Day.
Die Another Day.
How could I possibly know that?
Because it has the really dumb Madonna song at the beginning where they auto-tune her saying Die
I
Another
guess
Day.
I'll die another day.
Another day. Like, it's ridiculous. It's stupid.
Those 90s James
That's the
Bond
only-
movies. Man, they were a different
They're
beast.
They're a fever dream. Like, they
Mhm.
really are. I mean, I would say most James Bond movies, watching them now, are kind of like a fever dream because you're just like, oh, wow, this is like what we used to do as a people. And you're kind of like, and now we're kind of like, now we watch them now and we're just like, oh, no, it's kind of sad.
I
no,
mean,
it's
Pierce
so serious.
Brosnan's era has to have the biggest swing in tone, right? To go from GoldenEye to Die Another Day, to go from a mostly straightforward Bond spy thriller to
I would rewatch GoldenEye
Die
if I were
Another
you.
Day.
GoldenEye
Is it more
pretty
bonkers
goofy.
than-
It's pretty
Okay.
goofy. I mean, there's a whole. I mean, the general concept of the movie is like, but like you have this like, it's very good. Don't misunderstand me, but like I think it's definitely like it's kind of stuck in its spot. But if you rewatch it, it's pretty goofy. Like it's
Okay,
pretty
but does it
ridiculous.
have a car with spike tires so it can drive on the walls of an ice palace, Andrew?
It does have a laser watch, so he can cut through the floor of a train.
Totally fine, totally normal spy stuff.
It does have a scene. It does have a scene that's not at all awakening to every teenage boy, where like Famke Janssen is trying to kill Pierce Brosnan, but in a way that's not at all subtle in what it's trying to imply. And so everybody watching that was like,
Yep.
"What's this? What's going on here? You guys you seen this? You heard about this?
Wouldn't mind an assassin to come after me. Okay.
Are they all, is this how it all works?
You see
Is
his
there a list?
Famke Janssen? Huh? Trying to
You see
give,
this? You heard
Pierce
about
Brosnan?
this? You see this? You heard about this?
Xenia on a top. Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. Chris, talk about not over the top. There you go.
Subtle
yeah.
as a hit by a truck.
Subtle as a kick to the balls. Like it's literally.
Bob, thank you so much. This was a lot of
Yes,
fun.
thank you. Thank you.
Andrew, congratulations on
It's nice to
emerging
win
victorious. Until next game, I don't know, maybe episode 200. We'll see. But again, Bob, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you very much, Bob.
and helping us celebrate. And always, of course, love having you. Episode 200, put on your calendar. Come do some more trivia, but maybe come back and just talk about a movie at some point
I would
before
love
then.
to.
We'll
Last
take
time
a
I
look
was
at the
on was
schedule.
Batman 66, and that is truly one of my favorite movies ever. I went back and actually re-listened to that not too long ago, and I was like, man, I love this movie.
Man,
I
that Bob
really
Buell-
like this movie.
That Bob Buell sounds great. That's your.
He brings some interesting knowledge and tidbits to this film, really elevating.
I like
He's the Mark Strong of the guest here. I gotta, if you'll bear with me for just a moment, I have to make sure I get the statistic right. But I happened to be looking at, Batman 66 with Bob Buell, running time, 2 hours, 34 minutes,
Oh,
23
man.
seconds.
Is that our longest
Okay.
episode?
No, that would be probably Diamonds Are Forever, which was 3 hours and 16 minutes, also with Bob Buell.
anything I
But,
touch just instantly becomes the longest episode possible.
Hey, no one's complaining. More Bob Buell in our life. Okay, here's what I want to get. Watchmen with Bob Buell.
Oh yeah,
2 hours, 34 minutes, 24 seconds.
I like
You're
Gavin.
consistent.
That's
I like
insane.
Gavin.
That's insane. These were like a year apart, and they came out to like the exact same runtime.
Wait, what are the seconds on them? 2 hours 34.
They're both 2 hours 34. I got to scroll through all these damn episodes we've done. Hang on.
Jeez.
You know what? Maybe I can just Control F Bob Buell.
I also, it's weird, like, I have this weird litmus test for my podcast episodes where it's like, I'll edit the full episode out, export it, and then, like, boost and do whatever I need to with the audio. And then I always chop it in half, right at the 50 question mark, because that's where all the ads go and anything else in between 50 and 51. So I always chop it there, and I have 2 audio files, part 1 and part 2. And in my brain, and it means nothing, but I always like when they sync up to be about the same time. When they're actually the halfway point, it's like one is like an hour 15 and 41 seconds, and the other's an hour 15 and 39 seconds. I'm like, ooh, that feels good.
That is satisfying.
Yeah.
It means nothing, but it's satisfying. All right. Batman 66, 2 hours, 34 minutes, 23 seconds.
23.
The other one was 24.
Watchmen with Bob Buell, 2:34:24. 1 second difference. I kind of want to go edit it to make it the same. But to the second, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Wow.
Crazy.
Means nothing. Very satisfying. I
Or
like it.
did we plan this the whole time?
Absolutely not. We don't plan anything on this podcast. Get out of here. Bob Buell, thanks again. And please tell the wonderful people listening where they can hear more of your wonderful voice.
Oh, well, thank you so much. First off, as always, thanks for having me. This is always a ball to don my game show hosting jacket one more time here. And you guys are excellent contestants. You know your stuff, and you run a tight ship here. A big fan of your show.
Easy now.
Anytime I send you a message, I'm like, hey, we have an anniversary episode coming up. You reach in the closet, grab that jacket, and you go, just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Straighten up that tie. Look at YouTube comments.
It's sitting there in a Batman-esque, like, cryogenic tube, just free
You actually have like a book on your bookcase that you pull and it like opens up and the blazer is just like on a mannequin, like with a single spotlight on it.
No joke, that is like a dream closet to have in a home.
Yeah.
Like the
Oh yeah.
I saw it once. I was going to an open house and they were like, "Oh yeah, this basement has this, and that. Oh, and it also has a secret bookshelf, like extra closet that the guy would like."
Way to bury the lead, lady. Sold.
Yeah, I was like, "This is all I wanted to see. Are you kidding me? This is amazing."
You slide down a fireman's pole and inexplicably have a blazer on at the bottom.
But sincerely, thank you guys for having me. And
of course.
if anyone's not sick of my voice quite yet, I have a podcast that I'm very, very proud of that if people want to give a click to, it'd be nice. 99 questions, the number 99 questions. It's me interviewing a whole gaggle of folks, and I've recently just passed the 99th episode of that, which is a very cool accomplishment. And I promise
Indeed.
I promise you can scroll through the list of guests that I've had on there, and you'll find someone you know, whether it's in the gaming world, folks from Easy Allies, folks from MinMax, folks from Game Informer, people in the acting world, Jeffrey James, Leland Bowden. Episode 100 is going to be Ryan Gall, who's a pretty well-known actor, I think. He was on that show The Last OG with Tracy Morgan, who's very funny. Yeah, some really, really good stuff coming up there. So give it a click.
Excellent.
In episode 99, who was the guest on that one, Bob?
That would be me.
Just finished listening to it within this last week of recording. Very fun episode. Probably the most narcissistic thing you could have done is make yourself the guest of the biggest episode, but it paid off wonderfully. You're a wonderful guest, Bob.
Thank you. It was a ton of fun. It really was. And we got Isla Hink from Easy Allies to be the guest host, which was like the most unenviable task of like, how do I get to host this? This is ridiculous to hear me chat for 3.5 hours. And she was like,
I mean, I guess the most
I'm in.
narcissistic thing would have been you also hosting and just asking yourself the questions.
Which was a consideration. It was on the list. But I was like, maybe that's a bridge too far.
No, it was great. I love every episode I've listened to. I love jumping around. Like you said, Bob, people that you're gonna know. And then there's weird ones like random people on chat roulette or people on Cameo that you paid to answer questions. I mean, you've got some bonkers stuff on there.
Right.
It's all a blast and just a genius idea for a podcast. Love listening to it. Everyone, please check it out.
Thank you. Thank you.
And now, Bob, we're gonna do like our credits, so you can just sit back and just listen to me plug stuff.
Talk about Mark
and
Benavides.
thank everybody.
Yeah.
yeah. The wonderful Mark Benavides sings our theme song, and I'm supposed to ask you to like leave us a review and all that stuff. I'm kind of bad at the usual stuff, but the rest of this month, our theme is famous flops, movies that are famous for their box office disappointment, just like we talked about Waterworld. Next week we have Tomorrowland, the Brad Bird live action film, the highly anticipated film that disappointed. We got Showgirls coming up later this month, and are ending it all with Last Action Hero. It's gonna be a blast. Come here, bud. My son just walked in. You want to tell everybody hi?
Hi.
Hey.
Say hi, Bob Buell.
Hi, Bobby.
Say thanks for 150 episodes, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Now say not every movie is great. Can you say that?
Taraka.
Toro Loco. That's a monster truck. Okay. Hey, everybody, remember, maybe not every movie is great.
But all movies have greatness.
Thank you to Mark Benavides for singing our theme song. You can follow him on Instagram at NotThatMarkAnthony. Thanks to Mitch for the music. Check him out on Twitter at I'm a Biggie Boy. Check our show notes for the SoundCloud link. Check out our store on TeePublic for the best of the rest merch. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend. It's the only way that we grow. Follow us on social media at BOTRcast. Say thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. All right, everyone's recording locally.
I am.
Let's count it up
locally.
to sync. We'll count to 6. We'll alternate numbers. We'll go me, Bob, then Andrew. Here we go. 1,
2,
3,
4.
5.
6.
There we go. We're good to go.
Beautiful. And now we
Um,
stop the recrecordings and we call it a day. Great job,
All right.
gents.
Just
Another
the
one in
end
the
of the
books.
episode is just us counting
That's
up.
counting
and
to
then...
6. That's the end of it. Maybe that's the post credits here.